Chapter 261, Extraordinary. Yuanjin suppressed his anger and asked again, Supreme Pontiff, what will it take for you to release Yu Xiaogang? Bibi Dong answered coldly, Release him. I never said I would. What? Yuanjin exploded. She really wanted Xiaogang dead. I didn't ask you, Sectmaster Yuanjin, to come to Spirit Hall, and what Yu Xiaogang did is an unforgivable crime, punishable only by death. Her voice was icy. Yuanjin clenched his fists, aching to strike her then and there. Do you really want to drive Yu Xiaogang to his death? I'm only following the rules. I'm not forcing him to die, Bibi Dong said with indifferent calm. She had assumed Yu Yuanzhen disliked Yu Xiaogang, but it was clear he still cared. No wonder Yu Xiaogang had managed so well on his own. Our Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon Clan isn't something to be trifled with, Yuanzhen roared. Are you threatening me? A cold light flashed in Bibi Dong's eyes. Suddenly, a suffocating aura burst from her, swallowing the entire hall. The Death Spider Emperor's evil spirit power surged like a tide, oppressive, frigid, and reeking of decay and death. Yu Yuanzhen's body froze, his pupils narrowed. He felt as if he had plunged into an abyss of ice, his blood nearly congealing. Even as a super Douluo, he felt threatened. You're that strong, he gasped, staring up at the figure on the high seat. Bibi Dong watched him impassively, slender fingers tapping her scepter. In his perception, her spirit power was an unfathomable abyss, no ordinary titled Douluo's strength. She had likely touched the threshold of a limit Douluo. How could that be? How old was Bibi Dong? Even with prodigious talent, she shouldn't have reached such a realm at her age. He couldn't understand it. Though Bibi Dong was undergoing the Rakshasa god's trial and could not use her full power, she still intimidated him completely. Pretending had gone on long enough. She did not intend to pretend any longer. Besides, only Yuanjin stood before her. I'll say it again, she struck the floor with her scepter as if striking his heart. I want Yu Xiaogang dead. Yuanjin's anger boiled over. Bibi Dong, he began, voice strangled. You will regret this. He spun on his heel and left. He knew he could not save Yu Xiaogang, not even by force. Bibi Dong snorted. Still making threats? Did he think the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon Clan would stand forever? 10 years. Within 10 years, she predicted, his clan would be annihilated. In 10 years, Xiao Ze would be grown enough, perhaps even a titled Douluo. That would be the right time to act. Come out. Xiao Ze stepped out of the secret chamber. Yuanzhen was quite riled up, he said with a smile. He always has a short fuse, Bibi Dong replied. Don't say it like that. Your tone makes people mad, especially Yu Yuanzhen. He's nearly sick with worry. Bibi Dong nodded. We are effectively at odds with the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon Clan now. It had to happen sooner or later, Xiao Ze said. We might be dealing with 2 of the upper 3 sects. And the 7 treasure-glazed tile school? Bibi Dong glanced at him. Not a problem with me here, Xiao Ze said. As you wish. After neutralizing the Clear Sky sect and the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon Clan, a lone 7 treasure glazed tile school wouldn't be able to cause trouble. When will Yu Xiaogang be released? Xiao Ze asked. After the Soul Master competition ends, Bibi Dong replied. Let the whole continent see what kind of person Yu Xiaogang is. That kind of torment, the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon Clan will suffer from it. Bibi Dong shifted subjects. When will you promote the seeds? No hurry. I haven't started yet. I need to cultivate many kinds, ones for arid land, ones for aquatic planting, and so on. Bibi Dong didn't fully understand, but she nodded. Here, take this. Xiao Ze pulled out an apple and handed it to her. Bibi Dong's expression turned strange. An apple? This isn't an ordinary apple. It's grown from my spirit. Everything I grow has special effects. What does an apple do? It clears negative status effects. Clears negative status effects? Try it. She took the apple. It was glossy and red, tempting. After one small bite, the flesh was crisp and sweet. At that instant, Bibi Dong's movements stiffened and her pupils contracted. A faint, pure energy flowed down her throat into her body, subtly suppressing the Rakshasa corrosion within her. It was tiny, but it was still Rakshasa corrosion, something from the Rakshasa god, and Xiao Ze's creation had suppressed it. He was only a spirit master. His creation could touch a god. How terrifying. Bibi Dong sat up suddenly, staring at the bitten apple in her hand. She looked at Xiao Ze with new intensity. This apple is very powerful. As long as it helps you, though it's not strong yet. I'll see if I can strengthen it. Good. Her slender fingers tightened without purpose, leaving shallow indentations in the fruit. If she could eat an apple like this every day, she could advance toward godhood far more quickly. No wonder the Rakshasa god said that with Xiao Ze's help, she could become a god soon. She had underestimated his spirit's strength. The God King's judgment had been excellent. Since there's nothing else, I'll go. I have a competition in 2 days, Xiao Ze said. She watched his departing back, then finished the apple. Unconcerned with her posture, no one watched. So powerful, she murmured. Indeed, the Rakshasa god suddenly spoke. Bibi Dong blinked. Can you not just suddenly speak? The Rakshasa god ignored her complaint and continued. The crops grown from his spirit are miraculous. They don't seem like something that should exist in this world. Can you tell if his spirit is divine grade? I don't know, the Rakshasa god said, shaking her head. Divine grade spirits come in 2 kinds, those bestowed by a god and those whose power inherently reaches divine grade. God-bestowed spirits, like the seraphim spirit, become stronger as their wielder ascends to godhood. The other kind is a spirit whose own power has reached the divine level. I haven't seen Xiao Ze's spirit directly, but it must be divine grade, perhaps even stronger. A mortal having the ability to touch a god's matters, that's extraordinary. Amazing, Bibi Dong murmured after a long moment of thought. Truly amazing. For an ordinary person to awaken such a spirit, it's more than just defying the heavens. The Rakshasa god frowned, unable to make sense of it. She had watched Xiao Ze too. How could an ordinary person be like this? She couldn't understand it at all. If you can't figure it out, let it go. He's in Spirit Hall now anyway, Bibi Dong said with a shrug. That's true, the Rakshasa god conceded. After Yuan Zhen left Spirit Hall, he cast a glance at Yu Xiaogang from across the way and then walked off. His face was pale with humiliation. He had been utterly humiliated today. Bibi Dong had shown him no courtesy. It wasn't that he didn't want to save face. He simply had no way to fight Spirit Hall. The gap in power was too great. They stood no chance. There was nothing he could do. A few days later, the finals were about to begin. 33 teams had made it to this stage. The finals would consist of 5 rounds. In the first round, 3 seeded teams received byes, while the remaining 30 teams battled for 15 spots. It was a brutal knockout. A single loss meant the end. In the second round, the top-ranked academy from each of the 2 major Empire qualifying regions would receive a bye. The other 16 teams would fight for advancement. Ultimately, only 3 teams would reach the final stage. Those 3 teams would first face one another in a round-robin of individual matchups, 7 members per team, to determine which team had the strongest individual lineup. The 2 teams that lost that individual round would then have a team battle, and the winner of that team match would challenge the winner of the individual round to decide the overall champion. Huo Wu, are you sure you're not going to Blazing Academy's match today? Xiao Ze asked. No, I'm not going, Huo Wu replied. Blazing Academy won't get very far without me. I'd rather save my strength and compete with you for the championship. Won't your father be angry? Why would he? Once I win the championship and bring it back to the academy, that'll be a huge benefit for everyone, Huo Wu said, shaking her head. That's true, Xiao Ze nodded. The title of champion of the elite tournament for advanced Spirit Master academies on the continent was immensely important. It marked the strongest among those under 25 and would make recruiting a breeze. If Blazing Academy held that honor, every fire attribute Spirit Master might flock there. Yu Tianshui Academy ought to work hard, Huo Wu said. Don't worry, we can beat anyone now except Heaven Do Royal Academy and Wuhun Academy. Shui Yuer said confidently. Star Luo Royal Academy is also strong. Their Dai Weici and Jujuyun have a spirit fusion technique, Juju King reminded them. Is Jujuyun your older sister, Sister Ju King? Shui Binger asked. The selection process in the Star Luo Royal family and the Ju family is ruthless. I'm a few years younger than Jujuyun, so I'm not on her level. Dai Mubai is similar. He ran off, and I went looking for him, but Juju King trailed off, and everyone understood. Dai Mubai had given up on himself and still hadn't reached Spirit Ancestor rank, practically useless. Dai Weici and Juzuyun are both Spirit Ancestors. Even if their spirit fusion technique isn't as powerful as yours, it's still not to be underestimated, Zhu King added. Noted. We'll be careful, Shui Binger said. They soon arrived at the competition venue. Each academy had its own rest area arranged around the arena, and the Supreme Pontiff's palace loomed nearby. Who from Tianshui Academy is drawing lots? Ningrongrong asked. Don't worry, the head of Tianshui Academy is here to draw, Xiao Ze said. Oh, head Shui Yao actually came? She usually never leaves Tianshui Academy, Ningrongrong said in surprise. Aunt knows our strength. While we might not take first or second, we can still fight for third. If we get third, it'd break records. That's very important for Tianshui Academy, so she came, Shui Binger explained. Shui Yao arrived soon after, graceful as ever. Seeing Xiao Ze made her recall their earlier touch, a small thing, but it felt like opening a locked box inside her. It stirred something she hadn't expected, a yearning for something beautiful. She found herself suppressing those feelings, though she scarcely understood them. Aunt, who are our opponents? Shu Yuer asked. Blazing Academy, Shui Yao replied, looking toward Huo Wu. Huo Wu blinked. Huh? We got lucky? You could say that. Blazing Academy surrendered outright, Shui Yao said with a smile. Huo Wu nodded. That's understandable. Without me, Blazing Academy's strength is much lower. Entering would be pointless. It's better to bow out and watch. That way nobody gets hurt. No wonder the Blazing Academy students spent 2 days wandering Spirit City with their teachers, eating and drinking, Shui Yao said. Huo Wu felt a little embarrassed. They really had relaxed. Most of Blazing Academy's students were fire attribute spirit masters. Such spirits tended to make their owners impulsive, hot-tempered, and carefree. But they weren't foolish. This is good for us. Tianshui gets 2 full rounds of rest, Xiao Ze observed. Exactly. We don't have to fight in the first and second rounds. We'll start directly in the third round, Huo Wu said. Straight into the top 10. Sounds easy. Du Guyan stretched, amused. Soon the finals began. There was none of the preliminaries pageantry. A red-robed bishop from Spirit Hall simply announced the start, and the matches commenced. The first round pairings were not particularly strong. Tsk, this final's so simple. Someone who didn't know might think the one in Heaven Do City was the real final, Huo Wu complained. It is simple, but that's how people grow, Xiao Ze said, taking Ningrongrong's mischievous little hand. The audience here were all spirit masters, no need for theatrics. They wanted to see real battles. Ningrongrong stuck out her small pink tongue and nestled against him. Seeing them so intimate stung Shui Yao with a sudden, bitter twist. She didn't know why she felt it. A flash of jealousy, perhaps. Could it be that she felt something for Xiao Ze? Impossible. They had only met a few times. Though he was exceptional, their age difference was too great. No, that couldn't be it. And yet, Liu Erlong, her thoughts spun until they were a chaotic blur. Chapter 263. What the hell is this? 2 rounds had passed in the blink of an eye. What? You actually rigged the draw? Xiao Ze looked at Bibi Dong with mild surprise. Bibi Dong didn't seem bothered. What's the harm? The 2 empires and Spirit Hall cooperated on it. We couldn't have all the strongest teams eliminating each other in the first rounds. Losing one that early would be too costly. Xiao Ze nodded. I wondered why those top teams made it through the first 2 rounds so easily, so it was fixed. Then you should be thanking me. I arranged for the worst academy to meet you in the second round. Bibi Dong's lips curved as if she genuinely wanted Xiao Ze to say thanks. Oh, Xiao Ze crossed his arms. That's it? Bibi Dong laughed in irritation. You're mocking me, aren't you? Get out of here. Fine, I'm going. And remember to prepare 3 spirit bones for me. Xiao Ze waved and left. That kid is really something. Bibi Dong felt a twinge of regret over the 3 10,000-year spirit bones, but trading that for a divinity successor like Xiao Ze was a bargain. Even 10 more spirit bones would be worth it. Besides, Xiao Ze's spirit had some effect on her. They arrived at the arena just as the third round was about to begin. This match paired Heaven Do Royal Academy against Star Luo Royal Academy, a clash of seeded teams that promised fireworks. On the other side, Tianshui Academy had been matched with Elephant Armor Academy again, much to Huyan Li's dismay. They'd worked hard to reach this round and hadn't expected Tianshui Academy to be their next opponent. Zhu Qing, looks like you might get your revenge, Xiao Ze said quietly. He didn't want to reopen the topic of Zhu Juyan. Zhu Juqing was effectively disconnected from the Zhu family now. If there was time she could visit, but otherwise it was better not to go back. The Star Luo Empire was oppressive. Heaven Do felt far more comfortable. Both teams from Heaven Do and Star Luo stepped onto the stage. The leader of the 7 on the Star Luo side was a blond man. He bore some resemblance to Dai Mubai but was taller, and his smile held the air of someone used to being superior. Beside him stood a tall woman with an hourglass figure and skin like white jade. Unmistakably a member of the Zhu family in form and bearing. Xiao Ze couldn't help noting her striking presence. Compared to Zhu King, she still came up short in some ways, but she was impressive nonetheless. At the sight of Dai Weici, Dai Mubai's fists clenched. "Mubai, what's wrong?" Tang San noticed his friend's change and asked. "Dai Weici is my elder brother," Dai Mubai explained. Ma Hongjin clicked his tongue. "That's rough. He's so many years older than you." Dai Mubai smiled bitterly. "There's no fairness in the royal family. I ran away." "At least you're alive," Ma Hongjin said, patting him on the shoulder. "Try to see the bright side. It's just a pity about Zhu King." "Shut up. Don't say that." Dai Mubai shoved Ma Hongjin away. "We could face Xiao Ze in the next match. If Xiao Ze hears about this, we'll be in trouble. You know what Xiao Ze can do." The members of Thunder Academy immediately shrank back at that. This was ridiculous. What kind of ordinary spirit king could display the strength of a spirit emperor or even a spirit saint? "Little sister, long time no see," Zhu Juyun's sultry voice called out. "Long time no see," Zhu King replied, cold as ever. Zhu Juyun glanced at Xiao Ze. "After all these years away, I didn't expect you'd find a handsome young man. That deserter Dai Mubai isn't worthy of you at all." They had been close when they were children, so Zhu Juyun still cared for Zhu King in her own way. But the system made them opponents now. Dai Weici said nothing at the taunt. As far as he was concerned, Dai Mubai was a deserter and good for nothing. "I won't be returning to the Star Luo Empire," Zhu King said flatly, "so you needn't worry." "Good, this cannibalistic place isn't fit for you," Zhu Juyun said with a nod. "That's for the best," Dai Weici added. "Without you, Dai Mubai can't become emperor." He harbored no real hostility toward Zhu Juqing. They had hardly met, and only as children. Zhu Juyun gave a charming smile. "This might be our first and also our last battle." At that moment, the referee stepped between the teams. "Prepare for the match. You may release your spirits. Heaven Do Royal Academy team versus Star Luo Royal Academy team. Ready. Brothers, release your spirits." Dai Weici's voice turned domineering. The 7 members of Star Luo Royal Academy immediately unleashed their spirit power. Dai Weici and Zhu Juyun's aura was already close to the Spirit King level. 2 yellow and 2 purple spirit rings appearing around them, and of the 5 behind Dai Weici, 4 were spirit ancestors. Star Luo Royal Academy's overall strength could easily rank among the top 3, even surpassing Tianshui Academy. But the Heaven Do side was even more terrifying. Xiao Ze, Ye Lingling, and Du Guyan were spirit kings, and the rest were spirit ancestors. Even having anticipated Heaven Do's might, Dai Weici and Zhu Juyun inhaled sharply at the pressure. "Match start." With the referee's command, the highly anticipated contest finally began. 7 treasures, glazed tile. First, strength. Second, speed. Third, spirit. Fourth, defense. 4 rays of light enveloped everyone except Ye Lingling. Ning Rongrong had the Phantasm Star glazed crown, which reduced spirit ability consumption, so sustaining buffs for 5 people wasn't a problem. Dai Weici and Zhu Juyun moved at once. Dai Weici charged straight toward Xiao Ze, while Zhu Juyun vanished, leaving only an afterimage as she targeted Zhu King. In the previous match, Xiao Ze had not acted on the field, so Dai Weici didn't have a full read on him. As captain, however, Dai Weici expected to be one of the strongest combatants. Xiao Ze waved his hand, and Do Liuli, Qi Kai, Qingliv, Yu Jin, and Sui Hua materialized before him. Summoning System Soulmaster. Dai Weici's pupils constricted, but he stood his ground. He triggered his first soul skill, and a white barrier flickered around him. Yu Jin moved into a charging state, while Do Liuli and Ning Rongrong began to cast buffs. Under the double-layered support, Dai Weici could feel a terrifying aura radiating from the opposing team without needing to watch closely. "Damn, this is too much." There's even a summoned beast similar to the seven-treasure glazed tile pagoda. What the hell is this? Chapter 264, Nether White Tiger. Daiwasi had no choice but to act. A white tiger-shaped light wave burst toward Xiao Ze. Chikai swung his greatsword and dispersed the wave outright. Daiwasi accelerated, charging straight for Xiao Ze. He knew summoning system spirit masters well. If you took out the summoner, the summoned beasts would vanish. Catching the ringleader first was the best approach. Naive. Xiao Ze's fourth spirit ring flared to life, and above the Soul Master competition arena, a dazzling radiance erupted. Fourth spirit ability, rotation of 4 seasons. Under the gaze of countless terrified eyes, the arena seemed to be cleaved into 4 distinct regions by an invisible force. To the east, a spring breeze carried fluttering peach blossoms and a fresh floral scent. To the south, the scorching sun beat down, the air shimmering with heat and cicadas shrilling. To the west, a desolate autumn wind scattered withered leaves. To the north, goose-feather snow and sharp ice needles drifted down. Xiao Ze's rotation of 4 seasons was a domain-type amplification spirit ability that could freely switch between the 4 seasons. Spring represented life recovery and defense. Summer, attack power and strength. Autumn, attack penetration and speed. Winter, spirit ability effects and spirit power recovery. All 4 could be active at once, but spirit power consumption would multiply many times over. What an extreme domain ability, it can even change the weather. Daiwasi's eyes widened. He had never seen anything like it. Elsewhere in the arena, Juju King and Juzu Yun clashed like ghosts. Every contact erupted into blinding sparks. Their claws sliced the air so fast, the sisters left after images. Even lower-level spirit masters in the stands couldn't clearly follow their movements. With a sharp strike, Juju Yun was sent flying over 10 meters, her shoes leaving scuff marks. She panted, stunned. How old are you? Becoming a spirit ancestor is one thing, but your combat strength. Juju Qing's spirit power was clearly lower, yet every exchange put Juju Yun at a disadvantage. She didn't understand it. Juju Qing said nothing. Using the recoil, she flipped through the air, barely touching down before streaking forward like a bolt of dark lightning. Her training showed in every precise movement. She flowed from one strike to the next with ruthless economy. Juju Yun raised her claws to block but was slammed to one knee. On the other flank, the Star Luo Royal Academy members were being overwhelmed by Duguyan alone. Duguyan's toxic attacks were potent, and paired with Huowu's long-range offense and Meng Yiran's ferocious close combat, they steadily forced the Academy's 5 members back. Duguyan's poisons left them disoriented and nauseous, threatening to collapse at any moment. Daiwasi wanted to rush Xiao Ze, but Suihua's 5 elves blocked his path. No matter how he charged, he could not break through them. His face went ashen. Damn it! These summoned beasts are too strong. And they looked barely exerted, calm, composed, as if this were nothing. Daiwasi scanned the arena. Juju Yun was being beaten by Juju King. The rest were barely standing. If this continued, Star Luo Royal Academy would surely lose. Juju Yun, Daiwasi roared. Understood. Juju Yun replied. Watch out, they're going to use their spirit fusion skill. Juju King warned. Daiwasi and Juju Yun's figures blurred in a brilliant light as their spirit powers intertwined in a spiraling ascent. The golden tiger and the shadowy cat collided and then, with a thunderous cry, fused. A giant tiger formed on the arena, translucent like glazed tile, white-furred with black stripes and eerie purple double pupils, radiating the pressure of a fierce beast. It stretched 8 meters long and stood 2 meters high, terrifying in its presence. This was the result of Daiwasi and Juju Yun's spirit fusion skill. Here it comes, the Star Luo Empire's spirit fusion skill, the crowd reacted, suddenly solemn. Can this fusion match the Heaven Do Academy? Someone asked. It'll be tough. The spirit fusion is powerful, but on the Heaven Do side, they have the double amplification of the 9-treasure glazed tile pagoda and a summoned beast comparable to that pagoda. They're not easily outmatched. Who would have thought Xiao Ze's summons could be amplified like this? Too strong. Not only strong, but high spirit power too. What a freak. Tang San frowned. Mubai, is the Nether White Tiger powerful? Dai Mubai nodded. It's definitely strong, otherwise the Empress of the Star Luo Imperial family wouldn't always be from the Zhu clan. But compared to a freak like Xiao Ze, it's still inferior. You know his summoned beasts can even use skills like spirit fusion. So Daiwasi won't stand a chance. On the arena, Xiao Ze spoke. Glazed tile, open glazed tile domain. Douluo released her domain. Within an 80-meter radius, the ground became glazed tile in an instant, crystal clear, colorfully flowing light that made the air itself seem transparent. The glazed tile domain had 3 effects. Effect 1. All self-amplification effects increased by 30%, and allied spirit ability effects increased by 30%. Effect 2. Self-spirit power consumption was greatly reduced, and allied spirit power could be drawn for personal use. Effect 3. The more allies within the domain, the stronger the self-amplification. The domain enveloped the arena, and Daiwasi's expression changed. A domain, a summoned beast's domain. What the hell? He had no choice but to attack. The 8-meter nether white tiger lunged. Chikai's great shield thundered down and slammed into the ground. The moment the tiger struck the shield, a shield bash automatically triggered. A dark red shockwave erupted from the beast's head, sending Chikai flying. The nether white tiger condensed an energy sphere in its mouth and hurled it through the air like a meteor. Qinglov twirled her staff and linked to Yujin through all things in harmony. Yujin, already charged, fired a cannon shell trailing a golden tail of flame. The shell arced strangely but precisely collided with the tiger's energy sphere. The two forces locked for half a second, then exploded in a deafening roar. The nether white tiger was blasted back in a surge of roaring flames. Its body convulsed and deformed in midair before splitting into 2 figures that slammed hard onto the glazed tile floor. Daiwasi was thrown out, coughing blood, and Jujuyun fell like a broken kite onto the shattered tile. Chapter 265. Put a hat on someone. Although the pair's spirit fusion skill was formidable, it couldn't fully withstand the double amplification combined with the 4-fold enhancement from the glazed realm and his own accumulated power, all focused on the golden jade. The strength of his current technique was something even a spirit saint would have to take seriously. Cough, cough. Jujuyun staggered to her feet, swaying as if she might collapse. She looked at Juju Qing with a complicated expression. Sister, you won. Juju Qing only nodded slightly. Jujuyun sighed inwardly. Her sister seemed to be growing colder and more distant, but mercifully she behaved differently around Xiao Ze. If not for him, Jujuyun couldn't imagine what her sister would become. Daiwasi pressed his hand to his chest and stepped forward, a pleading look on his face. If it's possible, please don't return to the Star Luo Empire, at least not until I become emperor. Juju Qing understood why he asked. Their team had been defeated. Daiwasi himself had fared all right. He hadn't lost to Dai Mubai, but Jujuyun had taken the loss. If Juju Qing went back to the Star Luo Empire now, things would not be easy. Their bond ran deep, otherwise they wouldn't have been able to use a spirit fusion skill together. I will, she said, nodding. Thank you. Star Luo Royal Academy conceded shortly afterward. When everyone returned to the lounge, they saw that Tianshui Academy had also advanced. Shui Binger and Shui Yuer's spirit fusion skill had carried them through. Now only the last 6 teams remained. One more match, and they would be in the real grand finals. Xiao Ze Big Brother. Shui Yuer flung herself into Xiao Ze's arms like a little kitten, nuzzling and settling into a comfortable position. The others from Tianshui Academy smiled fondly, like ants doting on a child. They all knew the relationship between Shui Binger and Shui Yuer, and it was plain that Tianshui Academy's success today owed a great deal to Xiao Ze. Without him, even Shui Binger and Shui Yuer might not have led the team this far. There remained a clear gap between Tianshui and the top teams. Star Luo Royal Academy, for instance, had 6 spirit ancestors and 1 spirit elder. Tianshui had only 3 spirit ancestors. Both sides had spirit fusion skills, and in a direct confrontation, the odds would likely be 3-7, Tianshui getting 3/10. So it was fortunate that Heaven Do Royal Academy had knocked out Star Luo. As long as Tianshui didn't face Heaven Do or Wuhun Academy next, they could practically guarantee a top 3 finish. Realistically, though, 3rd place would be the ceiling. Those other 2 teams were beyond their reach. Xiao Ze rubbed Shui Yuer's back and looked at Shui Binger. You should be able to make the top 3. Are you that sure? Shui Binger sounded surprised. Of course, There's always backstage maneuvering in competitions like this. Xiao Ze smiled. What? Even a big event like this? Shuibinger and the others were stunned. It's normal, so don't worry. Once we get into the grand finals, our Tianshui Academy can just bow out gracefully. Let you guys take on Wuhun Academy. Shuibinger nodded, satisfied. A top 3 finish was already the best result Tianshui Academy had ever achieved. After strolling with the girls for a while, Xiao Ze returned to the Spirit Hall and found Bibi Dong busy in the Supreme Pontiff's chambers. What do you need me for? She asked without looking up, buried in Spirit Hall affairs. Xiao Ze came up behind her and watched the mess of small problems she was handling, things like the Spirit Hall kitchen running out of funds. He couldn't help but remark, "Do you have to deal with this stuff every day?" Bibi Dong gave a tired smile. "Yes. Aren't you tired? It's fine. I don't need to cultivate right now anyway." She continued to work, but Xiao Ze pointed out the obvious. There were many trivial matters that didn't require the Supreme Pontiff's personal attention. You should get some capable assistants. Let them handle these affairs, and you only need to supervise. Bibi Dong set her pen down. That makes sense, but there's always a risk of being deceived. For those positions, you need loyal people, Xiao Ze said. Find folks like Chrysanthemum Douluo and the rest. Their cultivation has plateaued. They could do something meaningful as administrative assistants. Chrysanthemum Douluo would probably bristle at that suggestion. Xiao Ze thought, but Bibi Dong considered it and then nodded. You're right. I'll think about forming an assistant team. Spirit Hall's workload is growing, and I'm wasting too much time on trivialities. Exactly. You're the Supreme Pontiff. How can you handle everything yourself? If I were Supreme Pontiff, I'd cultivate every day and let them do the rest. I'd just check in periodically and handle big problems directly. Bibi Dong chuckled. Then you'd be the most relaxed Supreme Pontiff in history. You'd still need enough strength. Otherwise, even if you knew something was wrong, you couldn't fix it. She smiled. All right, was there anything specific you came for today? The grand finals are in a few days. I hope you can have representatives from the other academies stay on to watch them. You want to handle Tang San? Bibi Dong's eyes sharpened, and she understood immediately. That's right. Yu Xiaogang and Tang San bullied me when I was young. Besides, he's Tang Hao's son. He'll definitely be an enemy in the future. It's better to deal with it here. Bibi Dong's expression hardened for a moment. But that would mean Spirit Hall publicly intervenes. It could be losing face. He has Xiao Wu by his side, and she's a 100,000-year spirit beast. Frankly, Tang San is betraying humanity. Xiao Ze's voice was uncharacteristically serious. Bibi Dong raised an eyebrow. Betraying humanity? You're labeling him too hastily. Spirit masters often act out of self-interest. Many decisions are pragmatic. It's not so simple as putting a traitor's tag on someone. Xiao Ze gave an exaggerated thumbs up. Bibi Dong stared at him, slightly baffled by his enthusiasm. Chapter 266, 3 Sacrifices. Bibi Dong snapped, I'm not a child. Say that again and I'll grind you into paste. Xiao Ze dimmed his tone a little. If we do it this way, there's about a 30% chance we can keep Tang San. Only 30%? Bibi Dong's brow pinched. That's still pretty good. Tang San has Tang Hao now, resurrected by the Asura god. Tang Hao might be even stronger than before. Our real target is Tang Hao. Tang San won't suddenly become a lot stronger. We only need to ruin his reputation. Bibi Dong nodded. Understood. I'll mobilize all the titled Douluo. Good. Otherwise, if one of you dies... Xiao Ze smiled coldly. That would truly be a pity. Now go. Time passed quickly. The next day was the last day before the grand finals. Heaven Do Royal Academy's opponent was Thunder Academy. Xiao Ze noticed how Tang San and the others looked sullen. After all the trouble to get this far, they would have preferred Tianshui Academy. Facing Heaven Do Royal Academy was a far tougher prospect. The gap between the academies was huge. Still, there was no choice. The first match had been Wuhun Academy against Tianshui Academy, and both teams had defeated their opponents with ease. Now, Heaven Do Royal Academy and Thunder Academy took the field. The two teams couldn't have been more different in mood. Heaven Do Royal Academy was relaxed, joking and talking. Thunder Academy looked as if they'd lost family members. Everyone, Yu Tianheng said in a deep voice. Heaven Do Royal Academy is strong, but we're already here. Are you ready to go home now? He continued, if we take one more step, we'll reach the top 3. That's a lofty place. The Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon Clan will be rewarded. His words brightened the team's faces a little, but inside they all knew the truth. If they couldn't beat Star Luo Royal Academy, an academy with a spirit fusion skill, how could they possibly match Heaven Do Royal Academy? The 4 spirit masters with the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon Spirit, Yu Tianxin, Yu Tianheng, Yu Liuli, and Yu Tianquang, stepped forward. In the center were Dai Mubai and Xiao Wu. Tang San was at the back. When Xiao Ze saw Thunder Academy's formation, he knew what they were planning, a rapid strike to try to crush Heaven Do Royal Academy at once. They were overconfident. Xiao Ze had plenty of tricks. He wouldn't just let them charge in. Prepare for the match. Brothers, release your spirits, Yu Tianheng ordered. Brilliant light filled the air and thunder rolled. The power of Thunder Academy's members, comparable to Star Luo Royal Academies, could be felt, minus the spirit fusion skill. On Xiao Ze's side, things were quieter. He calmly summoned his beasts, took his positions, and prepared for spirit possession. All eyes in the arena fixed on the participants. Match start! As soon as the referee's voice fell, Xiao Ze moved at extreme speed. Suihua, Tunling, Meng Huang, Bright Moon, and Do Liuli appeared. Do Liuli and Ning Rongrong immediately cast their buffs across the team. At the very moment the match began, the 7 members of Thunder Academy, like 7 bolts of lightning, hurtled straight for Xiao Ze. Suihua tapped the ground with a single lash of its tail. Boom! The earth trembled, and thick, golden rice roots exploded from the soil. Half the arena was torn open as ring after ring of rice mound walls shot up at terrifying speed, instantly encircling and dividing the 7 Thunder Academy members into isolated sections. What? Yu Tianheng's face went pale. That summoned beast actually had such a large-scale spirit ability, segregating all 7 of them. Their plan to rush and eliminate Xiao Ze together collapsed. He had expected speed, he hadn't expected that. Third soul skill, Wrath of Thunder. Yu Tianheng roared, entering a berserk state. His hair stood on end and compressed lightning formed scale-like patterns across his skin. His lightning surged 100%. His spirit power rose 50%. He looked like a humanoid thunder tyrant. Break it for me. Thunder Dragon Claw, his first soul skill, tore at the rice wall. Thunderous Might, his second soul skill, sent dozens of lightning serpents smashing the same spot. Sparks lit the arena like daylight. Boom, boom, boom. Corpses of rice husks flew everywhere. The spectators gasped. Hiss! That summoned beast is terrifying. It can change terrain and its range is enormous, dividing the enemy into 7 zones. If they can't break through, it's over. Right, it's almost the finals, and we just learned he had this. He's hidden so much. He barely showed any moves. His summoned beasts are all different. He must have plenty more tricks. This is what a summoning system soul master should be like. I once saw a summoning master pull off incredible feats. The wind baboon was something else. Look, the Thunder Academy members are freaking out. You can see it in their expressions. How wouldn't they be? Being separated from your teammates is the worst. If one emerges alone, they'd be doomed. The unknown is the scariest thing, someone murmured. Du Guyan glanced at Xiao Ze. What do we do now? Just watch, Xiao Ze replied calmly. At that moment, it became clear why he had said that. 3 sacrifices ritual. Tunling, Meng Huang, and Bright Moon, the 3 summoned beasts, suddenly bent their forelegs and knelt reverently towards the ground. A murmur rippled through the stands. Even the referee frowned. Are they surrendering? Whose surrender involves summoned beasts kneeling? Interesting. In the Wuhan Academy section, Hu Lian appeared at Shi Yue. Brother, can you tell what's happening? It's a kind of spirit fusion skill. Or rather, a fusion skill between those summoned beasts, Shi Yue said. Hu Lian's eyes widened. Is it what Master told us about? Earlier, Hu Yanzhen had informed Bibi Dong that Xiao Ze's summoned beasts were capable of fusion skills. They had suspected it, but seeing it with their own eyes made it real. A summoned beast fusion. Who had ever seen that? Were they even merely summoned beasts anymore? That's right. At first I didn't believe it either. But now I have no choice, Shi Yue said. So what are you afraid of? You've got spirit fusion and you're spirit kings, Yan replied, arms crossed. He really disliked Xiao Ze. Xiao Ze and Nana were far too close, and Yan felt their relationship had cooled. Nana kept talking about Xiao Ze, and Yan felt like a fool. But there was nothing he could do. He liked her. That's not the same. Xiao Ze held back the two of us by himself. Can you beat the others? Juliana rolled her eyes. Then what? Should we just surrender? Yan asked. Never. Even if we lose, we have to fight. Thump. The pig spirit's forehead touched the ground. At the same moment, the wild bull's horns and the bright moon sheep's hooves glowed white. The space before them vibrated, and dark green bronze bricks condensed out of thin air, forming an altar patterned with beasts in the blink of an eye. A low roar rolled out. From the center of the altar, 3 towering beams of light shot up, so bright that even Thunder Academy on Rice Mountain could see them. Tang San's heart leapt. What are they doing out there? I have a bad feeling, he thought. He looked around. No one was watching him. Steeling himself, he drew his hidden weapons and struck toward the outer wall. Using weapons in a competition would mean disqualification, but Tang San made a desperate choice. Better to risk that than be caught off guard. A fist-sized hole appeared. It worked, he breathed, but his relief lasted a heartbeat. The hole sealed itself as quickly as it had opened. Damn it, it can do that? My blue-silver grass has vines, but it can't repair itself. Tang San clenched his teeth. Outside, the audience exploded into noise. From the 3 beams of light, massive translucent beast phantoms slowly formed. A war pig with towering tusks and a mane like burning crimson flames, radiating an intimidating presence. A dark green giant bull whose hooves trampled thunderclouds and whose horns were wrapped in crackling arcs of lightning. And a snow-white sheep spirit whose glazed horns refracted a cold, moon-like light and scattered streaks of color. Holy moly, spirit fusion skill. What's spirit fusion? That's a summoned beast fusion. They don't even have spirits. Never mind what it's called. This is amazing. They actually summoned 3 more giant summoned beasts. These 3 alone scare me. Trash or not, this is insane. Xiao Ze waved his hand. Go, take care of them. The 3 colossal summoned beasts, completely transparent, passed through the air and swept into Rice Mountain. Yu Tianheng, standing in the arena, froze when he saw them. 30 to 40 meters tall, how could pigs, bulls, and sheep suddenly charge in from outside? The giant bull charged. Yu Tianheng reacted instinctively, slamming out a thunder dragon claw. The attack struck, but the bull's momentum was overwhelming. He was flung back, his dragonized right arm trembling, his spirit wailing. Damn, so strong! Yu Tianheng spat, struggling to stay upright. Before he recovered, the war pig's giant hoof rose and slammed down. The arena itself seemed to dip 3 inches from the impact. The shockwave launched Yu Tianheng away again. As he tried to recover midair, the bull lowered its head and rammed its lightning-wrapped horns into his lower back. Crack! The sound of bones breaking rang out through the venue. Before he even had a chance to taste blood, the sheep's glazed horns smashed him into the ground. The war pig's tusks caught him, then it swung him around by the head and whipped him across the field. Bang after bang, Yu Tianheng was mauled by the 3 ancestral summoned beasts. If anyone had been watching clearly, they would have been stunned. The so-called genius of the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon Clan was flattened in minutes. When the 3 phantoms moved on, the original 4 members of Thunder Academy were down, lying on the ground, twitching, blood seeping from their mouths. They'd been badly hurt, but not fatally. They could be treated. Next was Xiao Wu. She watched the 3 summoned beasts and felt the oppressive weight of their presence. Not good. She tried to teleport, but the snow-white sheep's glazed horns refracted a strange moonlight that instantly solidified space. Her body froze mid-teleport, only a flickering afterimage left behind. The bull raised its thundercloud-wrapped hoof. No, Xiao Wu cried. The stomp hit before she could do anything. The lightning tore through her clothes around the waist, leaving charred skin exposed. She fell like a broken kite. In mid-fall, the war pig's tusks caught her. There was a sickening sound as they pierced flesh. The pig shook its head violently, slamming her onto the ground. By then, she was half unconscious. At the same time, Dai Mubai and the others were fighting desperately. In the stands, everyone from Heavendew Royal Academy had casually taken out chairs and sat down to watch. Can you not sit? The referee asked. Is there a rule against it? Someone demanded. No, the referee admitted awkwardly. So they sat. The match was still on, and even muffled sounds and occasional glimpses were enough to convey the ferocity inside. A minute later, Dai Mubai was sprawled on the ground like a defeated beast. When the three summoned beasts finished, Xiao Ze and his companions slowly stood. Sui Hua retracted the rice mountain. Tang San looked up and his face drained of color. All of his teammates had been laid out. Blood dotted the ground. They were strewn across it in various painful poses. Dai Mubai, curled up and small now, looked nothing like the ferocious tiger he usually was. Xiao Wu, Tang San dashed to her side. Third brother, she murmured, spitting blood. Xiao Wu, are you all right? Tang San asked, frowning. I'm fine, third brother. Surrender. You can't win, she said weakly. At that moment, the giant bull phantom's thundercloud-wreathed hoof descended from the air and came down hard, precisely on Tang San's spine. Bones cracked as Tang San collapsed onto Xiao Wu, coughing up mouthfuls of blood. No, third brother, Xiao Wu cried out in terror. I'm fine. Tang San grit his teeth against the pain in his back, feeling as if his bones had shattered. Surrender. We surrender, an instructor from Thunder Academy called out. Heaven Do Royal Academy wins, the referee nodded. With that match decided, the fourth round of the finals was over. Only 3 teams remained, Heaven Do Royal Academy, Wuhun Academy, and Tianshui Academy. All 3 powerhouse teams were still largely intact. The finals were within reach, one more step to determine the champion. After dispersing, Juliana drifted over to Xiao Ze. Tomorrow's the final. I won't hold back, she said. Little fox, you should really think about how you'll cry when you lose tomorrow, Xiao Ze teased. Bastard, you'll be the one crying. Juliana snapped, though she'd known Xiao Ze long enough to expect his teasing. What's going on with Sister Erlong? Ning Rongrong asked. Juliana is Bibi Dong's student, Liu Erlong explained. She's been taking care of us while we were here. Looks like she's developed a soft spot for Xiao Ze. Ning Rongrong smiled. Seems Xiao Ze still has plenty of charm. Even Bibi Dong's student likes him. Liu Erlong sighed inwardly. It wasn't just that. She thought Bibi Dong herself had grown strangely gentle. It was odd, but it didn't matter. Ning Rongrong was the true empress. Whether they succeeded would depend on her. Yan watched Hulina and Xiao Ze bickering and felt his mood wobble, but had long since grown used to them. Sheiyue watched and sighed. Love made people unreasonable. Fortunately for him, he didn't like women. All right, I'm done talking. We'll win tomorrow. Juliana tried to pep herself up, though after seeing Xiao Ze fight today, she knew the odds were slim. Even her teacher didn't favor her. She and her brother had a spirit fusion skill. Didn't Xiao Ze's summoned beasts have fusion abilities too? Clearly, spirit fusion wasn't the decisive factor. Oh, our brother Xiao Ze has found another beauty. A little fox, no less, Ning Rongrong said gracefully as she approached Xiao Ze, hands clasped behind her back. Xiao Ze looked a little embarrassed. He and Hulina hadn't defined anything yet. No need to explain. I already know you. I'll make sure to get to know her later, Ning Rongrong teased. Xiao Ze was touched. That was why she was his empress. Ning Rongrong pinched his cheek gently. Come on, let's eat well. Tomorrow's the grand finale. Binger and Yuer won't take part, so it'll be a one-on-one showdown with Wuhun Academy. Understood, they replied. The defeated members of Thunder Academy, patched up by the healing spirit master, leaned weakly against the wall. They knew they stood no chance. Being beaten almost to death without a proper fight left a bitter taste. They hadn't even seen much of Xiao Ze. Don't be so down. It's normal we can't beat Xiao Ze, Yu Tianheng said, trying to console them. Tomorrow's the finals. The Supreme Pontiff allowed all top 10 teams to watch. If Wuhun Academy can't even beat Heaven Do Royal Academy, I'll feel a lot better, Yu Liuli added with a wry smile. You never know. Wuhun might not win, another said. Their spirit power is close to Heaven Do Royals, but apart from the 3 from the Golden Generation, the rest are weak. Ultimately, it still comes down to those 3. Zhu Linlin stuck out her lower lip. What's there to watch? Can those 3 even beat one Xiao Ze? The others exchanged looks. 3 spirit kings and a summoning-type spirit king whose strength was almost otherworldly. It was hard to say. They might indeed be outmatched. None of this is in our hands now. We'll know when we watch, someone said. Tang San rested for a while and then went for a walk, brooding. He was born with twin spirits and seemingly full spirit power, yet he felt an enormous gap between himself and Xiao Ze. How could Xiao Ze's spirit be so outrageous, essentially relying on innate level 2 spirit power, and yet so far ahead? Passing the entrance to Spirit Hall, Tang San saw his teacher. Yu Xiaogang looked half dead, as if he'd lost 40 or 50 jin, skin and bones. Tang San didn't much like Yu Xiaogang and had considered him useless at times, but he was still his teacher, and Tang San respected him. There was nothing he could do. Yu Xiaogang came from the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon Clan, and even that clan wouldn't dare offend Spirit Hall. What could a small spirit elder do? For now, he could only hope Spirit Hall wouldn't kill his teacher. Perhaps there would be a chance to rescue him later. The next morning, the square in front of the Supreme Pontiff Palace glinted in the sunrise, the atmosphere solemn. The 3 competing teams waited quietly while 7 observing teams lined both sides. "This is the Supreme Pontiff Palace. It's magnificent," someone murmured. "Of course, the Supreme Pontiff is the most noble person in Spirit Hall. Maybe the most noble on the continent," another replied. Hall Knights stood in formation from the palace steps all the way down the mountain, silver armor gleaming and heavy swords at their sides, radiating an imposing dignity. Heaven Do Royal Academy and Tianshui Academy members chatted relaxedly among themselves, but the 7 members of Wuhan Academy were visibly nervous. They had clearly seen the might of Heaven Do Royal Academy and felt its weight. Suddenly, the Hall Knights struck their sword hilts in unison. The metallic clash echoed in waves. The heavy gates of the Supreme Pontiff Palace swung open, and 12 red-robed cardinals stepped out, 6 on each side. "His Holiness, the Supreme Pontiff arrives. Greetings, Your Holiness the Supreme Pontiff. Long live, long live!" A roar like a collapsing mountain rolled through Spirit City, not only from Pope Mountain, but from most spirit masters within the city, a testament to the Supreme Pontiff's place in everyone's hearts. Xiao Ze listened and thought quietly that "Long live the Supreme Pontiff" still didn't carry the same force as "Long live the people." But this was a world where power ruled. That was how it had to be. If the common people could at least live happily, that would be something. Chapter 269, 3 10,000-year soul bones. Greetings, Supreme Pontiff. At that moment, everyone from Spirit Hall knelt on one knee. Behind Bibi Dong stood 4 notable figures: Ning Fengji, Chrysanthemum Douluo, Ghost Douluo, and Sword Douluo Chenshin. Almost everyone from the other academies followed suit. Seeing Xiao Ze remain standing, the students from Heaven Do Royal Academy did the same. Bibi Dong's gaze rested on Xiao Ze, and she inclined her head slightly. Ning Fengji was taken aback. What did that mean? Did Bibi Dong and Xiao Ze know one another? Or was there some other reason? Bibi Dong didn't bother explaining. After all, Xiao Ze had never been one to show much deference, even to her. "Rise," she said, her voice low but clear enough to reach everyone. "You have all done well. In you I see hope." Her eyes swept over the assembly, paused on Tang San for a moment, then lingered on Xiao Wu beside him. Bibi Dong's lips curved. She didn't know how this little rabbit had concealed her spirit beast identity, but that glare of hatred was unmistakable. This little rabbit had to be the offspring of that rabbit who had escaped long ago. A spirit beast that had fled and then sought revenge by transforming into a human. Truly absurd. Still, Bibi Dong admitted that a soft-boned rabbit in human form might not be as powerful as a true soft-boned rabbit spirit master. Of course, you'd have to compare at least to a titled Douluo. Otherwise, 100,000-year spirit beast would simply crush them. She tapped her scepter gently. 3 brilliant lights bloomed before her, bathing the area in front of the Supreme Pontiff Palace in dazzling radiance. 3 spirit bones materialized: a right arm bone, a skull, and a left leg bone, glowing fiery red, pale blue, and deep green. The lights pierced the sky, visible even from across Pope Mountain, and spirit masters throughout Spirit City erupted in excitement. Many had never seen a single spirit bone in their lives, let alone owned one. But the champion of this Soulmaster competition could win 3. The crowd gasped, and many showed obvious greed. Spirit bones were the most precious treasure for any spirit master, and these were 3 10,000-year spirit bones. Bibi Dong announced, "The 3 spirit bones are the mind-condensing wisdom skull, the burst incineration flame right arm bone, and the rapid advance wind-chasing left leg bone. All three are over 10,000 years old. The mind-condensing wisdom skull is over 50,000 years old, a top-grade item. Everyone's eyes widened even further. Hulina felt her heart tighten. A 50,000-year spirit bone, clearly intended for her by her teacher, was now out on offer. What a pity. Bibi Dong had selected these three specially for the golden generation: the mind-condensing wisdom skull for Hulina to enhance her charm ability, the burst incineration flame right arm bone for Yan, and the rapid advance wind-chasing left leg bone for Xiao Ze. Xiao Ze nearly laughed at the thought. They could actually use these three spirit bones. Ning Rongrong, Zhu Qing, and Huo Wu were all perfect matches. He felt almost embarrassed by it. Bibi Dong noticed the expression on his face, wanting them but holding back, and felt a flash of annoyance wrapped in helplessness. The final winner, the ultimate champion, will receive all three spirit bones, she said. The envy in the eyes of the other 7 teams was barely contained. These were 10,000-year spirit bones. Many of them might never obtain even one in their lifetimes. The champion would take all 3. This morning, your 3 teams will compete in individual elimination matches. The last team with members remaining will advance directly to the championship final. The 2 losing teams will fight for the other final spot this afternoon. Supreme Pontiff, Shui Binger, stepped forward. May I speak? Bibi Dong nodded. Go ahead. Our Tianshui Academy forfeits the competition, Shui Binger said plainly. Forfeit the individual matches, or everything, Bibi Dong asked. Everything, Shui Binger replied. Are you sure? Yes, our strength at Tianshui Academy is far below theirs. To save time, let the other 2 teams compete. Bibi Dong nodded. Very well. Since that is the case, I agree. Only 2 teams remain, Heaven Do Royal Academy and Wuhan Academy. They will have a team match. The winner will be champion, the loser runner-up, and Tianshui Academy will take 3rd place. She settled into her gilded chair. The competition itself was not her main concern. She wanted to see how powerful Tang Hao, the one revived by the Asura god, really was. She had already summoned many titled Douluo from Spirit Hall and notified the Offering Hall. She did not believe that so many titled Douluo could not deal with one Tang Hao. The elite tournament of the Advanced Soul Master Academies of the continent. The finals are about to begin. Both teams prepare. The match will start in 15 minutes. Xiao Ze and his companions stood nearby, chatting and laughing. On the Wuhan Academy side, the 7 members wore grave expressions. They really don't respect us, Yan complained indignantly. They're just too strong, Hulina sighed softly. Xiao Ze alone is someone we can't handle. These are 3 10,000-year spirit bones, Yan said, still unwilling to accept it. Yan, what good does resentment do? Our lack of strength is our original sin, Xiao snapped. Hulina added, Yan, those spirit bones aren't exactly a free gift. What do you mean? Yan's mind worked slowly. You'll see soon. Don't act rashly, Hulina warned. Xiao mulled it over. Some time ago, Xiao Ze had apparently spent time in Spirit Hall, even looked after by Nana. That suggested Xiao Ze's status in Spirit Hall might be significant. Could it be he joined Spirit Hall? If so, it wouldn't be a gratuity at all, but an investment. A spirit master as powerful as Xiao Ze would almost certainly become a titled Douluo, or stronger, in the future. From Spirit Hall's perspective, placing such resources on him made sense. It was just a sizable investment. Of course, Xiao didn't yet understand the full power of Xiao Ze's spirit. Otherwise, he'd realize these 3 spirit bones were almost a bargain. Not even a single 100,000-year spirit bone would begin to equal what Xiao Ze could become. Ning Fengji and Sword Douluo, always keen-eared, had overheard the Wuhan Academy's discussion. They exchanged a look. Ning Fengji frowned. Hulina was Bibi Dong's student, so the possibility that Spirit Hall had plans for Xiao Ze was quite high. Why Xiao Ze would join Spirit Hall was unclear. He was a child of many surprises. Ning Fengji decided he would ask about it later. Sword Douluo remained unreadable. Bibi Dong glanced at their faces and allowed a faint smile to play on her lips. Chapter 270, Asking for Leave. Sorry, the author has a fever and is taking the day off. I'm too dizzy to write today. Chapter 271, The Last Game. Time flew by. The Heaven Do Royal Academy and Wuhan Academy teams stepped into the arena to thunderous applause. Every eye was fixed on them. This was a peak showdown, the golden generation of Spirit Hall against the strongest class of Heaven Do Royal Academy. Blazing Academy's team was there too, just to fill out the numbers. It was the most anticipated match in years. Prepare for the match. Spirit rings flashed like stars as 6 Spirit Kings readied themselves. Match start. Wuhan Academy didn't open the attack. They knew that however fast they struck, they wouldn't beat Xiao Ze's summoning speed. What surprised them even more, though, was that Xiao Ze only summoned a single spirit. The entire summon condensed into a beam of light and flowed back into Xiao Ze's body. Suihua's power is really strong, Xiao Ze murmured. He felt like he could fell a spirit emperor with a single strike now. What kind of spirit ability lets him integrate his summons into his own body? Xiyu muttered, stunned. I'm not sure, Hu Liena warned. But it seems Xiao Ze won't be calling forth summons this time. He wants to fight us himself. Xiaoyu agreed internally. The Dragon King's scythe reappeared in Xiao Ze's hand. Du Guyan and the others realized he'd gone all out. Only Ning Rongrong maintained an amplification. The rest fell back. What? The Rakshasa god's voice exploded inside Bibi Dong's mind, making her jump. She blinked, a little annoyed. Can you stop being so jumpy? You don't understand, the Rakshasa god said, tone urgent. The scythe in Xiao Ze's hand isn't ordinary. It's a demigod artifact. Demigod artifact. Bibi Dong's eyes widened. She'd never heard the term before. She knew she'd eventually gain a divinity, but she didn't have one yet. That's right. The Dragon King's scythe carries the auras of the Ice Dragon King and the Fire Dragon King, 2 Dragon Kings, God King level powerhouses. No wonder I felt something familiar from Xiao Ze before. He must have met those 2 Dragon Kings. They gave him something. What did they give him? Bibi Dong asked. If I'm not mistaken, spirit rings and spirit bones and this demigod artifact, the Rakshasa god replied. After all, spirit masters can only use those. God King level spirit rings and spirit bones? Bibi Dong was stunned. His spirit rings were concealed initially, so I didn't notice. But now I see not only did he receive the divine rings of the Ice and Fire Dragon Kings, his first 3 spirit rings are 10,000-year grade. Bibi Dong's mouth twitched. This was abnormal. She felt suddenly inferior, as if her own divinity inheritance meant little. The Rakshasa god sensed her thoughts and sounded a bit embarrassed. Don't talk nonsense. You still have your divinity. I'm just poor in comparison. And if you want someone to blame, blame the Asura god. If it weren't for him, I wouldn't be in this state. Bibi Dong sighed softly. Chen Jin's eyes widened. Ning Fengji, that scythe in Xiao Ze's hand is dangerous. How dangerous? I can't say exactly, but my spirit quivers when I sense it. Ning Fengji's expression hardened. This weapon wasn't ordinary. If Uncle Sword's 7-kill sword weren't so rare, it still wouldn't outclass the Clear Sky Hammer, but for a spirit like his to tremble said a lot. Brother, Hu Lina called. Understood. Xieyuo moved like a ghost. He spread his arms and slipped back, colliding perfectly with Hu Liena. Just as the siblings' hands met, the Wuhan Academy's auxiliary spirit master raised his scepter and unleashed a blinding golden light. 2 pure streams of energy injected into Shiyue and Hu Liena. A crimson curtain, like fresh blood, burst from their contact point and immediately swallowed them. The red light exploded outward, sweeping across half the arena. When it settled, the 2 of them had merged into a single figure of ambiguous gender, hair the color of blood. A red mist poured over Xiao Ze and the others. Inside it, senses were halved, spirit power suppressed by 50%, and all reactions delayed by half. For Xiao Ze, the reduction wasn't quite as severe, but the most troublesome effect was the obscured vision. The mist warped sight into near uselessness. The red-haired figure moved like a wraith in that haze, appearing and vanishing, twin moonblades carving arcs of light. Xiao Ze stood with his eyes closed, Dragon King Scythe's tip resting on the ground. When the first moonblade sliced through the air, he barely tilted his head. The scythe's haft intercepted the blade. Sparks flew, and Xiao Ze's ear twitched as he already read the sneak attack's trajectory, parrying with ease. How did you see that? Shiyu barked. Guess, Xiao Ze replied. Shiyu said nothing more. His assault accelerated, slashes from above, low sweeps, illusory blade light splitting and fanning in the fog, but Xiao Ze met them one by one. Outside the red mist, most spectators, save for the titled Douluo, couldn't see what unfolded within. Bibi Dong watched, eyes wide. Xiao Ze, with his eyes shut, was relying only on his hearing to block Nana and the other's strikes. A genius, Sword Douluo murmured. Even I couldn't do that back then. Without specific training, you wouldn't develop that kind of ability. Bibi Dong nodded in rare agreement. After a time, Huliana adjusted tactics. The moonblades began to vibrate at a high frequency, producing an ear-piercing howl intended to disrupt Xiao Ze's hearing. It should have been effective, except the scythe suddenly spun, and the Dragon King scythe's energy absorbed the sound waves. The noise collapsed into the weapon's aura. Xiao Ze used the pause to his advantage, sliding the scythe blade up along a moonblade's haft and forcing the attacker to withdraw. Then, with a casual flourish, he flipped the scythe and slammed the butt into the ground. You've been hitting for so long. Now it's my turn. In the red mist, Xiao Ze became a streak of lightning. The Dragon King's scythe felt weightless in his hands. Every swing seemed effortless, but each forced Xiaoyu into staggered blocks, the moonblades humming constantly. Sparks from scythe and moonblade even burned holes in the red haze. Too slow, Xiao Ze's voice brushed past their ears. The red-haired figure backed quickly, twin moonblades crossing and slashing in a frenzy. Xiao Ze only needed to shift slightly. The scythe's tip struck a weak connecting point in the attack formation and shattered their rhythm. Their combined strikes broke like glass. How is that possible? Xiaoyu cried. Even relying on your hearing, you shouldn't be able to hit the binding point so precisely. Xiao Ze chuckled. Nothing's impossible. You just haven't seen much, and do you really think I can't see at all? Xiaoyu and Hulina froze. He could still see inside their red mist? Chapter 272. Xiao Ze, because I sold you the pill. What Xiao Ze saw wasn't really seeing at all. It was Suihua's report. Suihua was inside Xiao Ze's body, and therefore unaffected by the red mist. She could clearly observe what was happening within it. When she relayed the information to Xiao Ze, it was as if he had grown new eyes. I have one last move. If you can't take it, surrender, Xiaoyu said. He didn't want to go this far, but the gap in strength was obvious. Continuing the fight would only result in needless injury. Say no more, Xiao Ze replied. Xiaoyu didn't argue. He unleashed his spirit power. His two moonblades intertwined and spun into a brilliant silver wheel. The whirling blades condensed into a perfect full moon and slammed down on Xiao Ze. This was Xiaoyu's own spirit technique, full moon. Behind Xiao Ze, the frost ember dragon wings suddenly unfurled, blotting out the sky. As the wings swept forward, ice and fire, two polar energies, braided together, forming a red and blue spiral barrier. Clang! The full moon met the barrier with a shrill clash. The high-speed blades could not cut through. Instead, their edge was worn away by the circulating ice and fire energy. Blood split Xiaoyu's lips, his eyes filled with disbelief. This same technique had once grievously wounded his teacher, a spirit emperor nearly at spirit saint level. What kind of spirit bone was this behind Xiao Ze? Wings as an external spirit bone, and so powerful. Returning it to you, Xiao Ze said. The dragon wings flared, and the ice-fire barrier detonated. Ice and flames became a raging storm, surging outward. The red and blue energy tides swallowed the full moon. Xiaoyu and his blades were blown back. His body, suspended in midair, was torn in two as he landed in a brutal, hulking crash. The red mist dissipated. When the crowd finally saw the scene inside the mist, everyone gaped. Xiaoyu and Hulina's spirit fusion had failed to defeat Xiao Ze. If Xiao Ze hadn't retracted his dragon wings at the last moment, the outcome might have been even worse. Yan stepped forward. Nana, are you all right? Xiaoyu's mouth twitched. No wonder Nana disliked him, as if he weren't even human. We surrender, he said. Xiaoyu, Yan's eyes widened. We didn't stand a chance. Surrender. A soft sigh went through the crowd. Congratulations to Heaven Dew Royal Academy on winning the final victory. You are the champions. Bibi Dong rose slowly, her gaze sweeping over Xiao Wu. Tang Hao that Xiao Ze mentioned has also arrived. He truly bears the aura of the Asura god. We must be careful, warned the Rakshasa god. Don't worry, I've made preparations. Bibi Dong had already recalled every titled Douluo she could mobilize. Even if Tang Hao himself couldn't be stopped, Xiao Wu would not be able to flee. There was also a backup plan. The elite tournament of advanced Soul Master Academies of the continent, final champion is Heaven Do Royal Academy. Congratulations, Bibi Dong announced calmly. She looked at her 3 spirit bones with a hint of regret. Even though Xiao Ze would eventually become one of her own, she still felt pangs over them. Xiao Ze stepped forward and chuckled softly. Don't feel bad. In the future, I'll be worth more than they are. Bibi Dong let out a small snort, almost girlish. I hope so. Ning Fengji and the sword Douluo exchanged glances. When Bibi Dong was with Xiao Ze, she seemed different from when she stood with others. She lost the Supreme Pontiff's lofty bearing and appeared entirely as a woman, even a somewhat delicate one. Xiao Ze accepted the 3 spirit bones and began distributing them. The swift advance wind-chasing left leg bone is best for agility attacks spirit masters. Zhu King, this is yours. Thank you. Zhu King nodded. Although they hadn't done much in the fight, they were comrades and there was no need for formality. The burst incineration flame right arm bone is ideal for fire attribute spirit masters. Huo Wu, it's yours. Hey, I even got a spirit bone. My brother will be so jealous. Huo Wu laughed. Don't brag, Shui Yuer said with a grin. We're jealous too. You'll get yours in time, Huo Wu replied. Thanks for the well wishes. As for the mind-condensing wisdom skull, it was meant for Rong, but she already has her Fantasy Star glazed crown and doesn't need it. And after Yan Yanji's spirit evolved, it's not quite compatible with Grandpa Dugu's spirit. I'll keep it. Xiao Ze intended the skull for Hu Lina. After all, she would be one of them in the future. The little fox had served him well. A small reward was fitting. All right, everyone agreed. Have they all been given out? Bibi Dong asked. If so, bring that little girl to me. She pointed at Xiao Wu among the Thunder Academy. Immediately, 5 terrifying figures materialized around Bibi Dong. 5 titled Douluo. Tong San's pupils constricted. His heart dropped, and he stepped forward to place himself between Xiao Wu and the threat. Xiao Wu looked pale. Your Holiness the Supreme Pontiff, why? Ning Fengji asked. To him, Xiao Wu seemed utterly ordinary. There had to be some mistake. But Bibi Dong's 5 titled Douluo were not a mistake. There's no need for whys, Bibi Dong's voice thundered. She's a transformed spirit beast. Why shouldn't I take her? Xiao Wu is a spirit beast? Dai Mubai shouted. How is that possible? Come to think of it, has Xiao Wu ever produced a spirit ring? Ma Hongjun asked. The crowd fell silent. No, right? Transformed spirit beasts form their own spirit rings. Could it be? Everyone stared at Xiao Wu in disbelief. Xiao Wu, stunned and terrified, could barely speak. She had clearly taken a stealth pill. Why was this happening? It made no sense. I don't sense her spirit beast aura, the sword Douluo frowned. That's because she took a stealth pill, Xiao Ze said. How do you know? Xiao Wu blurted. Xiao Ze's smile curved coldly. Because I sold you the pill. The words struck like lightning. The stealth pill was an accidental refine of mine. It can cloak a spirit beast's aura for a day, making them undetectable to anyone below limit Douluo. I thought no one would buy it. Imagine my surprise. Not only did someone buy it, but they bought it so eagerly. Xiao Wu, you're a transformed spirit beast, and your head really isn't working. Such a glaring flaw. Do you honestly think I'd be fooled? It was obvious. Xiao Ze's words cut into her like a blade. She stood frozen, the truth battering at her heart. Chapter 273, Tang Hao's Arrival. Then you'll tell Spirit Hall? Tang San roared. His eyes were bloodshot, breath coming in heavy bursts, fury plainly written across his face. Xiao Ze froze for a moment, then sneered. Tang San, tell me, are you stupid or just furious because Xiao Wu's spirit ring and spirit bone are about to be taken from her? She's a spirit beast. I'm a spirit master. That's a natural opposition. Don't act like you don't have spirit beast spirit rings yourself. Don't be a hypocrite. Tong San replied righteously. All the spirit rings on me came from evil spirit beasts. Even among spirit beasts, there are good ones and evil ones. Everyone stared. For a moment, no one could believe he could keep talking like that. Xiao Ze laughed out loud. What are you laughing at? Tong San snapped. Laughing at your naivety. Talk of good and evil. You're just an overgrown child. Xiao Ze taunted. Tong San bristled. He felt decades older than Xiao Ze's jibe implied. What exactly do you want? He demanded. Bibi Dong didn't hurry to answer. She wanted to listen. Everyone else watched in astonishment that Xiao Ze could sit and exchange words with Tong San in this situation. Ning Rongrong and the others were nervous, but knowing Xiao Ze had already joined Spirit Hall, They fell back behind Ningfengji and Sword Douluo for safety. My father-in-law should understand this very well, Xiao Ze said, looking at Ningfengji. Between people and between factions, there are no eternal enemies, only eternal interests. The same applies between humans and spirit beasts. Ningfengji nodded. No eternal enemies, only eternal interests. Well said. Unless they are mortal enemies, if the interests are big enough, people can get along. If Spirit Hall offers the 7 treasure glazed tile school something we can't refuse, it's not impossible we'd join them. Bibi Dong regarded him thoughtfully. Ningfengji ruffled Ning Rongrong's hair. Clever as she was, she had already guessed what her father intended. Even Sword Douluo looked stunned. No eternal enemies, only eternal interests? Tang San muttered. So don't pretend you're noble. It's all about self-interest, Xiao Ze said disdainfully. All right, I won't waste words with you. We're taking Xiao Wu. You, Tang San flinched. Bibi Dong stepped forward. Xiao Ze, from today on, you are the Saint Son of Spirit Hall, the next Supreme Pontiff. For a moment, the people of Spirit Hall were stunned. Then they shouted in unison, Saint Son! Saint Son! Saint Son! Those from the Heaven Do Empire were dumbfounded. How did he become the Saint Son of Spirit Hall? Who knows? Traitor. Well, he's from our empire, but that doesn't mean he can't join Spirit Hall. He used our empire's resources. He barely used anything. At most, he stayed at our villa for a while, and he did win the championship. We still owe him. Damn, he must have planned this all along. Or maybe he just didn't care. Look at who his allies are. I'm jealous. Tang San's right hand trembled. You! Xiao Ze smiled. Tang San, you seem very attached to my new status. Since you don't want to be separated from Xiao Wu and you're Tang Hao's son, then stay together. With that, on Bibi Dong's command, 5 titled Douluo, Sea Turtle, Sky Wind, Spirit Kite, Ghost Leopard, and Demonic Bear, ordered unrelated personnel to step back 100 meters and closed in, boxing in Tang San and Xiao Wu. Chrysanthemum Douluo and Ghost Douluo had already vanished. No one dared to intervene. Tang San regretted stepping forward. Xiao Wu shoved him away. I'll go with you. Let Brother San go. You little rabbit, you really can't negotiate with us. You're just fish on a chopping block. Rabbit meat, Xiao Ze said with a smile. I've eaten Softbone's rabbit before, quite tasty, especially when spicy. Xiao Wu's eyes went blood red and she screamed as if she could rip him apart. Xiao Ze laughed, then abruptly coughed and restrained himself, feeling a bit too much like a villain. Ning Rongrong smiled. This Xiao Ze was more entertaining than before. Ningfengji found him oddly interesting. The 5 titled Douluo advanced slowly, the air humming around them. Suddenly the sky darkened. A giant hammer wrapped in blood-red patterns tore through the clouds and slammed down, the impact driving a terrifying pressure across the plaza. The ground cracked in concentric fissures. The 5 titled Douluo were forced back 3 steps by the force, while Tang San and Xiao Wu remained unharmed. The control of power was brutal and precise. Amidst the swirling dust, a hunched figure straightened, leaning on the immense hammer. Beneath a tattered black robe, a strange form revealed itself. Father, Tang San cried, but something about him felt off. He looked like his father, but not exactly. The plaza fell silent. Whispers broke out. Clear Sky Douluo? Isn't he dead? Spirit Hall didn't kill Tang Hao? Impossible. If he had been killed, he wouldn't come out now. That's not Tang Hao's style. Something's wrong, Bibi Dong sneered. A mere puppet dares to be arrogant. Even if Tang Hao had been killed, she thought, it would have been manageable. Asura god wouldn't descend personally. The god king of destruction watched closely. Rakshasa god, who had been the thorn in Asura god's side and knew him best, had been right more often than not. Tang Hao didn't speak. Perhaps he couldn't. Then, 2 voices called from above. Polarity static domain. Everyone looked up. Chrysanthemum Douluo Yueguan and Ghost Douluo Guimei hovered overhead, their figures merging in a blaze of light. 18 spirit rings compressed into a massive gold and silver halo suspended in the air. For a dizzying moment, the world seemed to wash over in 2 colors, gold and silver, and everything around them stilled. The 2 Douluo's bodies vanished as the halo appeared. As the 100-meter-wide halo contracted, Tang Hao's body was caught in a layer of gold and silver light, fixed in place by tremendous force. Spirit fusion skill, someone shouted. Father! Tang San roared. He had never expected the two-titled Douluo to possess a spirit fusion skill. Chapter 274, Angel God of Contrast. Attack! Bibi Dong roared. A fierce wind howled through Spirit City as the spirit power of 5 Gum, titled Douluo, swept over the battleground like a tsunami. Their assaults were terrifying. Tang Hao was sent flying again and again, like a billiard ball, yet he didn't even spit blood. He truly didn't seem human. Ning Fengji frowned. Not human? It's just as the Supreme Pontiff said. A puppet? How is that possible? Sword Douluo whispered, a god. Ning Fengji's pupils tightened. The 7 Treasure Glazed Tile School possessed only scant information about gods. He had never believed it until now. If this was true, Spirit Hall was facing a god. Then, Sword Douluo shook his head. Xiao Ze isn't foolish. His face hasn't changed, which means he knows. That suggests they have a way. Perhaps they have someone else. Ning Fengji nodded. That was the only explanation. Only a god could counter a god. The situation in this world was growing stranger by the minute. At that moment, Tang Hao's body trembled violently. An indescribably terrifying aura burst from him. A dazzling crimson light shot into the sky and detonated in the center of the field like a thunderclap from clear air. The 2 extreme static domain, struck by the crimson burst, developed dense fissures. With a crisp crack, the domain shattered. The impact rolled outward like a tidal wave. Chrysanthemum Douluo Yue Guan and Ghost Douluo Guimei's faces drained of color. Their bodies recoiled dozens of steps. They stared at Tang Hao in the center of the field with eyes full of disbelief. They had him under control, and yet such fearful power had still erupted from him. The 7 people from the offering hall standing nearby were all startled, especially Qian Daoliu. The aura of a god, someone breathed. Big brother, this, one of the others faltered. Qian Daoliu did not speak. His eyes glowed with a golden light, and the other 6 were stunned. What's wrong with Big Brother? They asked. Qian Daoliu knelt as if in presence of a deity. Angel God, he murmured. The power on Tang Hao is that of the Asura god. But don't focus on him. He's a subordinate of the life goddess and won't interfere with me. There's no need to give him face. He can't affect Douluo Star too much. Help Xiao Ze with all your might. The angel god's voice commanded, and then she was gone. Qian Daoliu came back to himself. Big brother, what happened just now? Gold Crocodile Douluo asked. Nothing, Qian Daoliu replied. The angel god told us not to pay too much attention to the divinity on Tang Hao and to concentrate on helping Xiao Ze. Xiao Ze is connected to her as well. It might be a bargain between the angel god and that other divinity. All right, go help. God realm, far away. Pwah! The angel god bent over laughing, golden divine armor clanging as she clutched her stomach. I didn't expect I could say something so domineering. She skipped and twirled, skirt hem kicking up sparks of divine light. I hope you won't disappoint me. We'll have to face the Asura god one day. I wonder if Sister Life can help. Sigh. Otherwise, I'll get beaten badly. It seems I still need to cultivate more. Back on the battlefield, Tang Hao's whole body was bathed in crimson spirit power. His clear sky hammer was stained red and radiated chilling pressure. He slowly raised his head. His eyes were blank, emotionless. Chrysanthemum and Ghost Douluo exchanged a grave glance. Both understood that Tang Hao had fully erupted and could no longer be restrained. Without hesitation, they moved, attacking Tang Hao from both sides. The odd-shaped silvery chrysanthemum released golden petals, while Ghost Douluo summoned countless ghostly silhouettes that shrouded the field in darkness. Combined with the original 5 Douluo, Sea Turtle, Sky Wind, Spirit Kite, Ghost Leopard, and Demonic Bear, 7 titled Douluo launched their strongest attacks simultaneously. 7 different spirit attribute strikes intertwined in midair, forming what looked like a giant attack net and driving down toward Tang Hao. Everyone else had been moved back by Bibi Dong and watched from hundreds of meters away. Facing the combined onslaught of 17 Yu, titled Douluo, Tang Hao gripped his crimson clear sky hammer and swung with all his might. A massive crimson hammer glow shot skyward and collided with the attacks. Boom! A deafening roar rolled across the sky as the 2 forces met. The energy storm shook Spirit City. Tang Hao's strength was immense. He blocked the combined strike of the 7 titled Douluo. The 7 fighters' faces grew grimmer. They had not expected Tang Hao's power to be so terrifying after his eruption. Even with 4 Super Douluo among them, he could hold his own against 7 opponents. Uncle Sword, let's go help too, Ning Fengji said. All right. Sword Douluo agreed. Although he had a personal feud with Qiandalu, matters between fathers and sons that did not concern the rest of them. Just as the fierce clash between Tang Hao and the Seven Dalin, titled Douluo reached a stalemate, two figures arrived at speed and dove into the fight. Ning Fengji held the seven-treasure glazed tile pagoda, its body radiating a nine-color halo. The seven treasures are renowned: first, strength; second, speed; third, spirit, he intoned. Dazzling amplification lights shot from the pagoda toward the seven Douluo aligned with Spirit Hall. Each light landed, and the spirit power fluctuations on their bodies surged. Bibi Dong murmured, "So you've made your choice." The seven-treasure glazed tile school actually sided with Spirit Hall? Absurd. Who knows? But I feel like Tang Hao has gone a bit mad. While people watched Ning Fengji and Sword Douluo Chen, Xiao Ze kept his eyes on Tang San and Xiao Wu with a trace of vexation. A crimson shield flickered around the two of them, absorbing the shockwaves repeatedly. Without it, they would already be dead many times over. The situation reversed instantly. Tang Hao, who had been holding off seven opponents, now faced titled Douluo, everyone on Spirit Hall amplified by Ning Fengji. The attack from behind felt like a razor. Tang Hao sensed Sword Douluo's sword chi and flipped sideways, narrowly evading a killing blow. At that exact instant, Sea Turtle, Demonic Bear, and Sky Wind landed their strikes at the same time. Tang Hao braced his hammer horizontally. With a thunderous impact, the three attacks crashed into it simultaneously. He was driven back dozens of meters, his feet dragging two deep crimson grooves across the ground. Qiandalu stared, astonished. Is this divine force? I'm not even that fierce. This is incredible. All of you, go help too, Qiandalu ordered, and the others sprang into action. When the 6 Super Douluo arrived, everyone present went cold. Is that Spirit Hall's power? 6 more Super Douluo have appeared. This is ridiculous. If Tang Hao hadn't shown us his strength today, we'd never have known what Spirit Hall truly is. With that kind of force, the gap between the other powers and Spirit Hall is terrifying. Sword Douluo's pupils tightened at the sight of the 6 high priests. Their appearance was plainly meant to intimidate every other faction. It didn't matter, though. With the high priest's arrival, Tang Hao was utterly crushed. He had no way to resist. In an instant, Sword Douluo's blade severed Tang Hao's left arm. Far above, in the god realm, a Sura god frowned. Damn it, Spirit Hall has mobilized everything. This is bad. It seems I'll have to use other methods as long as Tang San doesn't die. Sigh, I still have regrets. At that moment, Tang Hao's body split open like a shattered furnace, spewing blood-red light. The energy fluctuations were so violent, they threatened to tear Pope Mountain apart. Gold Crocodile Douluo's forehead beaded with sweat as he shouted, "Retreat! He's going to self-destruct." Everyone froze. Who would trigger Tang Hao's self-destruction? This was Pope Mountain. So many people were nearby. Had Clear Sky Sect really forsaken them? As the destructive energy was about to engulf the plaza, a pure white holy light ripped down from the sky. Qiandalu descended, angelic sacred sword in hand, 6 wings unfolded behind him, golden feathers scattering like rain. The angelic sacred sword carried the world-cleansing sanctity of the angel god. It struck into the blood-red explosion. Sacred radiance and bloody energy twisted and tore at each other, forming a 1,000-meter-wide vortex above the Supreme Pontiff Palace. Qiandalu's long hair whipped in the storm as he forced the crimson energy back into Tang Hao's body. Tang Hao still detonated, but the blast was far weaker than it would have been. The residual energy swept over the outer buildings and reduced dozens of side halls to dust. Terrible, but a fraction of what might have happened. In the chaos, Bibi Dong flashed forward. A strand of spider silk wound around Xiao Wu's waist. Under cover of the energy storm, Bibi Dong sneered as she hauled the struggling girl into her arms, purple gold fingernail pressing gently against the girl's throat. "Little rabbit," she purred, "your third brother is gone. He abandoned you." Bibi Dong knew Asura God had saved him, but she didn't care. One Asura God could not undo Spirit Hall's plans. Xiao Wu stared at her with hatred, but beneath that was utter despair. She knew she was about to be turned into a spirit ring and a spirit bone. "Big brother," Gold Crocodile Douluo managed. Qiandalu descended slowly, nodding. The force of that self-detonation was enormous. If I hadn't come, Spirit Hall itself would likely have been destroyed. High Priest, the other titled Douluo of Spirit Hall, cried, bowing respectfully. The stunned witnesses nearby watched with wide eyes. Today's events had opened their eyes. They'd seen Tang Hao's power, the strength of so many titled Douluo, and the fact that the former Supreme Pontiff of Spirit Hall still lived. This was a limit Douluo. Spirit Hall truly was terrifying. Qian Daoliu turned and looked at Bibi Dong. The rest is up to you. Bibi Dong said nothing, only inclined her head. He glanced at Sword Douluo. If you want revenge, then cultivate well. With that, the 7 high priests departed. Uncle Jian, Ningfengji called, concern in his voice. I'm fine. Sword Douluo answered, shaking his head. Then the cleanup began. Bibi Dong drove everyone away from the plaza and ordered the area cleared. Xiao Wu's cultivation was sealed and she was imprisoned, certainly not with Yu Xiaogang, but under the custody of Spirit Hall. Inside the Supreme Pontiff Palace, Bibi Dong chuckled. Your plan worked, though it got a little scary there. Who would have expected Tang Hao to be so strong? Asura god is reckless, Xiao Ze said with thin disdain. You can be the saint's son of Spirit Hall tomorrow. Need a ceremony? Bibi Dong asked. No ceremony. I'm not interested, Xiao Ze replied. All right, but if Shuiye finds out you became Spirit Hall's saint's son, he'll probably be furious. Maybe he'll last a little longer, Xiao Ze said dryly. By the way, I can start distributing the special crops. Let the farmers plant them, Xiao Ze added. Bibi Dong raised an eyebrow. Are you sure people will plant them? How could they not? With Spirit Hall's backing, and my seeds yield well and have a small special effect, if humans eat them over time, the number of spirit masters could increase dramatically. Bibi Dong's eyes lit up. If that really happened, Spirit Hall would be seen as a benefactor. Joining would become natural. It will take time, Xiao Ze warned. But that's a contribution to the continent. You've thought this through, Bibi Dong said, surprised. I'm not mad, Xiao Ze replied with a smile. Tsk, I thought you were the type to want to destroy the continent, Bibi Dong teased. Maybe I used to be, Xiao Ze said lightly, but not now. I have plans, calculated ones. Unifying the continent would benefit Spirit Hall. And there's no reason there's only one continent on this planet. When the time comes, we can go look for others. Bibi Dong grew serious. Don't say that lightly. Your plan has merit, but it's difficult. Second, we need to develop spirit tools. Spirit tools? For what use? Our current spirit tools are too primitive. We should develop offensive, defensive, and flying types. That would massively boost Spirit Hall's power. Bibi Dong couldn't help but scoff. Do you think spirit tools are easy to invent? Otherwise, why haven't they appeared in all these years? Xiao Ze smiled. I have spirit tool blueprints from the Tianyue Empire, a lot of them. Tianyue Empire? The Tianyue Empire from 3,000 years ago. Bibi Dong exclaimed, excited now. Xiao Ze raised an eyebrow. She surprised him with her knowledge of history. Chapter 276, Destruction. Scold's Shura Bibi Dong looked disdainful. As Supreme Pontiff, do you think I haven't learned it? Then you still let Yu Xiaogang deceive you? Xiao Ze asked. Xiao Ze! Bibi Dong snapped, anger lighting her face. He smiled, and angry Bibi Dong was strangely beautiful. They say the Tianyue Empire's spirit tools are incredibly powerful. You actually obtained the Empire's blueprints? I dug them up, Xiao Ze said. Not just simple blueprints, a complete compendium of the Tianyue Empire's spirit tools. Bibi Dong's form flickered, and she was suddenly right in front of him, hands on his shoulders. They were close enough to count each other's eyelashes. Xiao Ze could smell the faint scent on her. Really? Really. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Bibi Dong laughed, her warm breath brushing his chin. She was thrilled. She knew how devastating a Tianyue-style spirit tool legion would be. If Spirit Hall had that kind of force, their power would increase dramatically. She reached for the compendium. Give it to me. Xiao Ze was taken aback. This is mine. You can't just take it. You are also the saint's son of Spirit Hall. Unifying the continent will benefit you too, Bibi Dong argued. Xiao Ze shook his head. I'm not the Supreme Pontiff. Damn it, what do you want? Bibi Dong snapped. She was furious. If he wasn't going to hand it over, he shouldn't have mentioned it. How maddening. Xiao Ze, sensing the rising tension, changed the subject. Next, the third matter. Speak, Bibi Dong said, still resentful. which made Xiao Ze feel a little embarrassed, as if he were teasing her. But it was also oddly entertaining. We need to start integrating forces. This world isn't decided only by fighting. Relationships matter. Those we can gain through negotiation won't have to be taken by war later. For example, the lower 4 schools, the 7 treasure glazed tile school, and so on. Gengshin City will also be important. It will be needed later for making spirit tools. Bibi Dong nodded. The 7 treasure glazed tile school and the elemental academy are up to you. I'll handle the rest. No problem. Is that all? That's all. Get lost. Just looking at you, you little rascal, makes me mad. She shoved him lightly, the anger dissolving into familiar affection. God Realm. 10,000 bolts of destructive lightning, carrying the crushing weight of the law of destruction, slammed into the Asura god's palace. Boom! The blood-red barrier of the palace shattered under the onslaught. Seated on his divine throne, the Asura god opened his eyes. A sea of blood churned in his pupils. Presumptuous, he roared. He didn't rise. With a flick of his finger, he condensed a blood-colored sword beam and shot it heavenward. The instant the purple sea of lightning met the blade's radiance, the entire god realm trembled. Palaces of countless divinities shook. All the divinities looked northwest in alarm. No one had expected the god king of destruction and the Asura god to clash. Destruction, you are presumptuous, the Asura god spat. You are the presumptuous one. The figure of the god king of destruction stepped from the lightning. Asura god, you're one of the 3 law enforcer gods. How dare you intervene directly in the lower realm? What are you trying to do? The Asura god's face darkened. If Tang San hadn't been dying, he wouldn't have cared, but he did care now. Destruction, what's wrong with me saving my inheritor? Saving him, the god king of destruction retorted righteously. Even if your inheritor dies, that is his fate. If everyone interfered like you do, would the god realm not fall into chaos? He had no inheritor himself. In his eyes, the rules mattered more than sentiment. You really won't give face? I'm speaking as the law of the god realm. Face? Humph. The god king of destruction snorted. Fine, I will go there for 3 days. Good that you know your place. With that, the god king of destruction turned and left. Bastard! The Asura god snarled in disgust. But before he left, he had to deal with Tang San properly. If he didn't, by the time he returned, 3 years might have passed on Douluo Continent, and losing Tang San would be a tremendous blow. A forest. Tang San stumbled out of a spatial rift, clutching his throbbing head. The air carried the unmistakable scent of the Stardew Great Forest. Father, Xiao Wu, he called, but only the wind answered. He fell to his knees, fingers digging into the soil, the final images replaying in his mind. Xiao Ze, Spirit Hall, Bibi Dong, I want you all to die. Do you want revenge? A voice, as from the abyss, whispered in Tang San's ear. Tang San froze. Who? You can call me God. God, there are gods in this world? He breathed. Of course you wouldn't be here. Tang San's pupils constricted. He had been rescued, brought to the Stardew Great Forest, far from Spirit Hall. This was not something an ordinary person could have done. I want revenge. Please help me. Very well. Head to Slaughter City. Slaughter City? Where is that? After Huo Wu and Juju King absorbed their spirit bones, their spirit power soared by 3 or 4 levels, a substantial increase. Xiao Ze walked over to Huliana. Little fox, this spirit bone is for you. Huliana's eyes widened. She pointed at the mind-condensing wisdom skull and asked in disbelief, Really for me? Of course. No one else here can use it, so it's yours. Xiao Ze nodded. Huliana took it slowly and bowed to everyone. Thank you all. Everyone smiled. Ningongrong stepped forward and slipped an arm around Juliana's waist. We're all family. No need to thank us. Juliana stole a glance at Xiao Ze and felt her face warm. Family? Could it really be? Seeing her blush, the other girls guessed she was falling for Xiao Ze, and that was useful. It would help Xiao Ze gradually take hold of Spirit Hall. Xiao Ze sat among them. From today on, Spirit Hall's influence will grow. Find opportunities to return and talk to your families. If they join Spirit Hall, they'll be much safer later on. Understood. Everyone nodded. Yan Yanjie, when the time comes, have Grandpa Dugu come to Spirit Hall. He can become an elder. Xiao Ze looked to Dugu Yan. Dugu Yan nodded. Understood. But my grandpa and Chrysanthemum Douluo are at odds. I don't think they'll avoid a fight. Grandpa Douluo is a super Douluo now. If they fight, they fight. Those two are old rivals. As long as Grandpa Douluo doesn't openly oppose Spirit Hall, there's no real danger. Then it's fine. Douluo sighed. Still, things are going to get chaotic, but it's also a once-in-a-thousand-years change on Douluo Continent. We're all pieces on a chessboard. You are the player, and we are the pieces, Ningrongrong said with a smile. Chapter 277, You Can Just Take Me by Force news of what happened at Spirit Hall spread across the continent in a matter of days. Haven't you heard? Tang Hao might still be alive. He's dead. That puppet was all anyone saw. Didn't you hear they said Tang Hao couldn't even speak? And his son is with a transformed spirit beast, a traitor to humanity. Maybe it's a legacy. Tang Hao acted the same way back then. So that's how it is. What a pathetic father and son. I wonder what the Clear Sky sect will do. Tang Hao was expelled. What else can they do? That's not exactly true. They said they expelled him, but the current sect master, Tang Xiao, is Tang Hao's older brother. Can he really throw his own brother out of the sect? You're right. Clear Sky sect. Brother Hao is actually alive. Tang Xiao suddenly stood up. The first elder sneered. He's dead. The Supreme Pontiff already declared it. That puppet. Everyone saw Tang Hao's Clear Sky hammer turn blood red. Sect master, do you still think his spirit mutated? Tang Xiao was momentarily speechless, then his anger flared. He slammed his palm on the table, shattering it. Who would dare to puppet someone from our Clear Sky sect? The second elder frowned. Sect master, that's not right. Tang Hao has long been expelled from the Clear Sky sect. Tang Xiao fell silent for a moment. I want Tang San brought back. He's Brother Hao's only child, and now he's been taken by that fake Tang Hao. It's dangerous. I disagree. Tang San, as Tang Hao's child, is not our sect's responsibility, the sixth elder said at once. Exactly, the fourth elder added. Besides, Tang San is with a transformed spirit beast. That news outranks even Tang Hao's. If we accept Tang San, what will it do to the Clear Sky sect's reputation? He nodded in agreement. A spirit beast companion. Outside, he's being branded a traitor to humanity. Such a person cannot be admitted. It would be catastrophic for the sect. I also disagree. Disagree. None of the six elders supported Tang Xiao. A heavy realization settled over him. Brother Hao's past actions had caused too much harm to the Clear Sky sect and to them personally. Many among the six elders had lost family to Spirit Hall, and Brother Hao's existence had been at the heart of their suffering. Tang Xiao sighed softly. Very well. I will follow your judgment, but I still intend to go and see him, at least to make sure Tang San survives. As you wish. That's your decision, the first elder replied. They all had their own calculations. They did not truly hate Tang San. Tang Xiao's lineage had held the sect master position for 3 generations. Tang Hao's misfortune had altered that line of succession. If Tang Xiao passed without heirs, their own descendants might have a chance. That's enough, God of Agriculture, Xiao Ze said. Good. These will be enough for them. We'll provide more later if the opportunity arises. The God of Agriculture had invested great effort into cultivating these seeds for the Douluo Continent. Xiao Ze's powerful, epic-tier seeds had been weakened countless times to reach their present state. Ordinary people could not handle the original potency without dire consequences. Even these heavily reduced seeds were precious, low-grade by epic standards, but with yields far beyond typical crops. For the people here, they were miraculous. Xiao Ze had prepared a vast quantity, enough for more than half the continent to sow, and packed them into dozens of spatial spirit tools. Then he set off for the Supreme Pontiff's palace. He found Bibi Dong wasn't in the public halls, but in her private chambers. There was no one outside. Xiao Ze pushed the door and immediately stopped at the sight before him. Bibi Dong was tying the purple silk sash of her nightgown, turned slightly to the side. The gown barely covered her thighs. Her long, pale legs glimmered, toes just touching the carpet. A few loose strands of hair fell along her collarbone. She looked back at the sound, paused when she saw Xiao Ze, then her expression cooled as she straightened and smoothed the gown. You didn't knock? Xiao Ze cleared his throat. That scene had been striking. Habit. Who knocks at home? She said. But he continued, the Supreme Pontiff's figure is truly exceptional. The compliment earned Bibi Dong a momentary speechless look. She wanted to be angry, but couldn't quite manage it. She settled on the soft couch, one leg bent casually, the other draped over the edge of the bed. The silk hugged her curves. The front of her gown had opened slightly in motion. The fabric drew taut over her chest, hinting at the shape beneath. Her waist nestled in the pillow, the hem had ridden up to her upper thighs, and her uncovered legs crossed, toes hooked, a posture both languid and deliberate. She toyed with the ends of her hair, a mist still lingering in her eyes. "Had enough of looking?" she asked without overt emotion, though her toes swayed just so. "Or, do you want to see for yourself, to judge whether my curves suit your taste?" Xiao Ze was stunned. Bibi Dong would actually say something like that. He had indeed been thinking, after days of thought, that taking Bibi Dong might be the way to cooperate with Spirit Hall. She was someone who fell in love easily. If taken, she would serve him wholeheartedly. Of course, he would have to treat her well. If he became Supreme Pontiff of Spirit Hall, they could be master and disciple, mother and daughter, an ideal alignment. "May I?" he asked, eyes betraying his anticipation. Bibi Dong's mouth twitched. "You may? Big head, your ambitions are big, but do you have the strength?" "If I have the strength, then yes," Xiao Ze said. Bibi Dong almost laughed in anger at how literal he was. She shrugged. "Fine, if you can defeat me, you may take me by force. I can't resist anyway." She spoke lightly, but Xiao Ze took her at her word. Then he moved to his purpose. "I've brought the seeds," he said. "I've weakened them a great deal, much weaker than ordinary crops, but the yield is extremely high. They can produce 10 times or more than current harvests." Chapter 278, Bibi Dong's Jade Foot, the Impotent Rage of Emperor Shuiye. Bibi Dong suddenly rose from the soft divan, her nightgown pulled taut across her curves. The outline of her body was breathtaking, every sway drawing attention. The purple silk hugged her in a tempting arc. Xiao Ze found his gaze fixed on the motion. He swallowed audibly. Her figure, he thought, was second only to Juking's. "Look again and I'll slap you to death," she snapped. Bibi Dong hadn't expected this outwardly proper man to be such a little rogue. If Xiao Ze heard her thinking that, he'd feel wronged. She had been proper once, after all. But with so many beautiful women around, even a monk could be tempted. Even the queen of the women's kingdom nearly made Tang Sanzang lose his resolve. With several at home, who could hold out? In short, none of this was her fault. "If I don't look, I don't look," Xiao Ze mumbled, averting his eyes. Then, noticing her feet on the floor, he hesitated. Her feet, so delicate and tempting, were bare. "Aren't you cold? You're not even wearing slippers," he asked. Bibi Dong blinked. "Big brother, I'm already a titled Douluo. Would I be afraid of that?" Yet a mischievous urge tugged at her. She sat back on the divan and propped her feet up, voice soft as an orchid. "Then put them on for me." Even she was momentarily astonished at the words that slipped out, but Xiao Ze took them at face value. He picked up the purple slippers nearby and gently knelt on one knee. His eyes watched her drooping toes. His breathing softened without him realizing it. Under the warm light of the hall, her skin seemed almost translucent, pearly and fine, like mutton-fat jade. Her ankle was slender without being bony. A graceful line ran down from her calf to the arch. Her toes were round and neat, nails trimmed and faintly pink. The arch of her foot was just right. Xiao Ze cradled her ankle as if handling a fragile treasure, guiding her foot slowly into the slipper. The upper was embroidered in dark gold, setting off the pearly white of her skin and lending her an air of nobility. When her toes nudged the tip and settled, Xiao Ze let out a quiet breath, his fingertips still cool from her skin as he withdrew them. Bibi Dong's cheeks were flushed. She hadn't expected him to actually do it. Xiao Ze laughed at the sight of her crimson face. "What are you laughing at?" she snapped. "All right." He held out a bag. "These are all the spirit seeds I've refined for you. Distribute them right away." "Got it," Bibi Dong said, looking over the pile of spatial spirit tools and spirit seeds he'd set before her. As expected of someone with a spirit tool manual, the spatial spirit tools are different. "Treat me well, and maybe I'll be generous enough to give you the manual someday," Xiao Ze said with a grin. "Treat you well? Are you asking me to give myself to you?" Bibi Dong purred, then chuckled to herself. It felt as if a long-dormant fire had started to burn again. Xiao Ze left shortly after. Bibi Dong watched him go, still smiling. Meanwhile, In the imperial palace of the Heaven Do Empire, Emperor Xiao Ze slammed his palm down on the sandalwood desk. The surface spider-webbed with cracks, hot tea sloshed onto the floor, and his spirit power coalesced into visible white currents that thrashed around the hall. The hem of his robe snapped in the gust, and even the beaded crown perched on his head trembled from the aftershocks of his power. Presumptuous! Presumptuous! The emperor's roar shook the hall like thunder. His face was flushed, veins standing out on his temples, his hands clenched until the knuckles whitened. Xiao Ze actually joined the spirit hall. He clearly doesn't respect the Heaven Do Empire. Each word hissed from between his teeth, filled with icy fury and wounded pride. The officials beneath him knelt in silence. Meng Shenji swallowed. Nobody had expected this. If Xiao Ze had simply joined the spirit hall, it seemed there was little the empire could do. He'd won the Soul Master competition, fair and square, and hadn't used imperial resources. Your Majesty, Xiao Ze hasn't used any of the Heaven Do Empire's resources, Jilin said cautiously. He won through his own strength. He owes us nothing. That only fueled Shuiye's anger. He did it on purpose. He wanted to join the spirit hall all along. Your Majesty, that seems unlikely, Bai Baoshan protested. If Xiao Ze truly intended to join the spirit hall, he wouldn't have come to Heaven Do Royal Academy. At that time, his cultivation would have been sufficient to enter Wuhun Academy. Emperor Shuiye's frown deepened. Then tell me, why did he join the spirit hall? Bai Baoshan opened his mouth, then shut it. They did not know. If anything, the spirit hall was stronger and offered higher prospects. It wasn't unheard of for people to seek out greater power. But the emperor's pride could not accept that. Humph. You all claim ignorance? Crown Prince, you were with him this time. Speak up. Shuiye fixed his glare on Qian Renshui. Qian Renshui was at a loss. How could she know how Bibi Dong convinced Xiao Ze? Imperial Father, I'm not certain whether Xiao Ze had contact with the Spirit Hall beforehand, but it's possible. As for why, perhaps the Spirit Hall could offer something Xiao Ze needs. Something we don't have, Shuiye exploded. The Heaven Do Empire is vast and rich. How could we lack anything? To Qian Renshui, he simply seemed to be venting impotently. Those with the power to recruit could join the Spirit Hall. Those without could only vent their anger here. Enough. You may leave. The four officials bowed and took their leave, exhaling in relief once outside. You scared me half to death. This is the first time I've seen His Majesty so furious, one murmured. He's angry, but Xiao Ze has his own ideas, another said. What can we do? His Majesty won't target the Yi family, will he? Bai Baoshan asked worriedly. Don't worry, Meng Shenji replied. The Yi family is important across the continent. Besides, Ye Lingling and Ning Rongrong are both close to Xiao Ze. The 7 treasure glazed tile school will protect them. That's true, Jilin agreed. Otherwise, Xiao Ze wouldn't have acted so rashly in joining the Spirit Hall. He would have settled matters first. Qian Renshui watched the three and noted their fondness for Xiao Ze. She wondered if any of them might be persuaded to join the Spirit Hall someday. Although they appeared loyal to the Heaven Do Empire, their ties were strong. Back at the Spirit Hall, after receiving the Spirit Seeds, Bibi Dong set the organization in motion like a well-oiled machine. Orders flowed from the Supreme Pontiff Palace to the Spirit Saint Hall, from the Spirit Saint Hall to the Spirit Main Hall, then outward from the Spirit Main Hall to the sub-halls, and from the sub-halls to the numerous branch halls spread across the land. Chapter 279, Promote Seeds Nuoding City. Su Yuntao stared in confusion as the Palace Master handed him a large sack of seeds. Palace Master, why are you giving me seeds? Do you want me to go farming? The Palace Master shook his head. This is a mission from Spirit Hall. We're to distribute these seeds to the nearby villages and make sure they're all planted by spring. Spring isn't far off, only a few months, and there are many villages. This mission is important. Su Yuntao blinked. The Supreme Pontiff actually issued this? That's right. I heard these seeds were developed by Xiao Ze, and their yield is extremely high. You know what that would mean for ordinary people, the Palace Master said. Su Yuntao's eyes widened. Xiao Ze? I heard he even won the Soul Master competition and is now the Holy Sun. You're lucky to have awakened your spirit for the Holy Sun, the Palace Master said. When I retire in 2 years, the Palace Mastership of Nuoding City will be yours. once your cultivation improves. Su Yuntao brightened at the thought. He almost wanted to kneel to Xiao Ze. He truly felt indebted. If Xiao Ze knew, he'd surely be the first to bow. All right, I'll go promote the seeds. Start with Qingxi village. Oh, by the way, has the Dean of Nodding Academy returned? Su Yuntao asked. He's back. Lucky for him, he's actually Xiao Ze's grandfather, the palace master sighed. After the finals, Grandpa Xiao realized Xiao Ze still had things to do, so he returned to Nodding Academy without interfering. Su Yuntao mounted his horse, taking a smaller spatial spirit tool with him, and rode toward Qingxi village. A few days earlier, Xiao Ze had Wang Lao make many of the smaller spirit tools, cheaper and easier to refine. One per village was enough. Late afternoon sunlight streamed over Qingxi's winding stream as Su Yuntao crossed the creaking wooden bridge. Carp occasionally leapt from the water. Wisps of cooking smoke rose from the distant farmhouses, and a little girl with pigtails tiptoed along the fence picking morning glories. Spirit Master. The village chief hurried over with trembling steps when he saw Su Yuntao approach. Village chief, congratulations, Su Yuntao said with a smile. Congratulations for what? The chief asked, puzzled. Xiao Ze from your village won the elite tournament of the Advanced Soul Master Academies. Really, the village chief didn't know the competition, but champion sounded impressive. That's wonderful. Xiao Ze has done very well. Also, I've brought you some special seeds. Su Yuntao set the sack down. Special seeds? The chief repeated. Yes, these seeds were developed by Xiao Ze. Their yield is incredibly high. Plant them in spring, and you should get at least 10 times your usual harvest. The village chief was calm. Xiao Ze already gave us some special crops before. They tasted good, and a couple of years after he left, 2 or 3 spirit masters appeared in our village because of them. Su Yuntao blinked. He had known Qingxi had produced a few spirit masters after Xiao Ze left, but he'd thought it was luck. If these crops really caused that, distributing them widely could dramatically increase the number of spirit masters, and many would feel grateful to Spirit Hall. Even if only half joined Spirit Hall, that would be enormous. Keep these seeds safe, Su Yuntao told him. They'll be your village's food. Be sure to plant them. Don't worry. Xiao Ze is from our village. I'll make sure they're planted. The village chief called people to bring all the sacks inside. The villagers trusted their chief, and when they heard the seeds were from Xiao Ze, they agreed to plant them at once. It's much easier to promote them in Qingxi, Su Yuntao thought as he rode on. Other villages won't be so easy. Supreme Pontiff Palace. Xiao Ze lounged in a rocking chair, twirling a rice spike between his fingers. A cup of jasmine tea steamed on a small table beside him. Not far off, Bibi Dong was bent over a pile of documents, breaking quill pens in frustration. Snap! She broke her third quill and, looking up at the leisurely Xiao Ze, scowled. Xiao Ze, can't you do some work? You're the Holy Son, the future Supreme Pontiff. Xiao Ze shook his head lazily. I'm here to be the Supreme Pontiff, not to do work. If you don't work, how will you be Supreme Pontiff? Bibi Dong snapped. Isn't that what you're for? Xiao Ze replied with a grin. Bibi Dong took a deep breath and pressed a hand to her chest, muttering to herself to stay calm. Xiao Ze poured a cup of jasmine tea, adding ice cubes. Calm down. You're getting older. Don't get angry. She took the cup too hard and the ice clinked. She drank in one fierce gulp, squinting from the cold, which somehow made her look less intimidating. How's the crop promotion going? Xiao Ze asked. Not great, Bibi Dong said. Qingxi was easy because they already have a connection to Xiao Ze, but villages with few or no spirit masters don't believe the seeds will yield so much. Right now, less than 30% of the villages across the 2 empires have accepted them. Xiao Ze nodded. I expected that. Not worried? She pressed. He smiled. Why worry? This won't be solved overnight. I trust my seeds. Once other villages see the harvests, they'll come to Spirit Hall for seeds. Next year's autumn harvest will be our best chance to promote them. Bibi Dong considered it and finally nodded. You're right. Chapter 280, The Brave Xiao Ze, Bloody Mary Knock Knock. Enter. A hall knight stepped in. Your Supreme Pontiff, Poison Douluo, is here. Let him in. Dugubo entered slowly. Seeing Bibi Dong and Xiao Ze standing so close, his eyes brightened with excitement. As Yan Yan had said, there was clearly something between them. That made him feel a little more at ease. Your Supreme Pontiff, Dugubo said respectfully. Poison Douluo, from now on you are an elder of Spirit Hall, Bibi Dong declared. Yes, if there's nothing else, you may leave. Bibi Dong wasn't finished speaking with Xiao Ze. Grandpa Dugu, don't quarrel with Chrysanthemum Douluo, Xiao Ze said with a smile. Don't worry, I don't even take that chrysanthemum pass seriously. Since resolving his poison issues, Dugubo's cultivation had already reached level 95. After speaking, he left. Xiao Ze felt Bibi Dong's eyes on him and teased. What? You think I'm handsome? Have you fallen for me? Bibi Dong replied coolly. You really are conceited. So what? You might fancy Yu Xiaogang, but I'm 10,000 times better than him. Why not fancy me? Bibi Dong fell silent. Xiao Ze truly was exceptional, but the age gap between them was too great. She couldn't bring herself to reciprocate. She wasn't shameless the way Liu Erlong was. Sensing her silence as some kind of thought, Xiao Ze decided to seize the moment. For his own sake, he would claim this half-cow-cow victory. Suddenly, Xiao Ze's fingertips covered her hand. Bibi Dong flinched violently. The touch was like the finest white jade, so smooth it almost seemed unreal. His fingers were long and slender like peeled scallions, his nails perfectly rounded and exquisitely kept with a faint pearlescent sheen. The skin of his palm was so fine no lines were visible. Presumptuous, Bibi Dong snapped, her wrist instinctively twisting to pull away. But she stopped herself, afraid of accidentally hurting him. Xiao Ze's thumb gently caressed the back of her hand, sending an electric tingle up her arm to the back of her neck. Your Supreme Pontiff, your hand is truly beautiful, he said. Bibi Dong's ear tips flushed crimson. This man, he was really bold, unaware of any limits. He even dared to stroke the back of her hand, seemingly oblivious to the danger. Rakshasa God, watching this, felt a thrill. Bibi Dong was too restrained. The young man taking the initiative was far more effective. He's a bit ungrateful, Rakshasa God teased. At your age, you should be secretly pleased to have such a young man. Bibi Dong abruptly reversed her grip and seized Xiao Ze's wrist. This seat truly wants to slap you to death. You wouldn't dare. Get lost. Bibi Dong flung Xiao Ze away. Xiao Ze only smiled as he straightened his clothes. Your Supreme Pontiff, don't forget, there are still 2 spirit beasts waiting for you in the Stardew Great Forest. Out! Bibi Dong was furious. When Xiao Ze left, Bibi Dong slumped back onto the Supreme Pontiff's throne, her right hand unconsciously rising to the place where his fingers had been. She lightly stroked the back of her hand, feeling the residual warmth of his touch and curling her fingers as if to hold it. Ridiculous, she scoffed softly. Yet the corners of her mouth couldn't help curving up. She pinched her right wrist hard with her left, and a red mark bloomed on her fair skin. After decades I've been flirted with by a mere youngster, she muttered. That brat, he really is charming. He's certainly more interesting than that good-for-nothing Yu Xiaogang. Prison. Xiao Wu huddled in a corner, her ankles bound by special chains that not only restrained her, but sealed her spirit power. Third brother? Don't come back, she whispered into the dim cell. Xiao Ze, I'm going to kill you. Aren't you leaving? Flender asked. Daimubai shook his head. Dean, Thunder Academy treats us all the same now, so we don't want to leave. This place suits us. Ma Hongjun nodded. Yes, Dean, Thunder Academy is great. After we become spirit ancestors, we can even teach here. Flender, just listen to them. No one wants to leave and set up Shrek with you. You have no money, no connections. It just won't work, Zhao Wuji said. Flender felt a little lost. They had agreed before that after the Soul Master competition, they'd leave Thunder Academy and set up Shrek Academy, but not a single person was willing to go with him. Sigh. All right. Flender resigned himself. It seemed he really wasn't cut out to found an academy. Everyone else was secretly pleased. They didn't want the dean to go alone, but they certainly didn't want to go either. This outcome suited them all perfectly. At the same time, Tang San arrived at a small town. It wasn't large, but the atmosphere was strange and oppressive. Following directions, Tang San found a hotel. The air inside was thick and murky. No one spoke. His entrance drew glances, but only cold ones. Tang San felt danger and walked up to a waitress. I'll have a Bloody Mary, he said. The waitress's face changed instantly. Are you sure? Yes. All right. The waitress turned and returned with a murky, dark red liquid that gave off a foul, fishy odor. Tang San's expression tightened. Could this be? He forced himself to drink despite the discomfort. Indeed, this was a cup of human blood. Tang San gagged. The other patrons began to laugh. A kid drinking Bloody Mary? Go back and drink milk. Exactly. This place isn't for a child like you. You with that face still want to qualify? Ha ha ha. Asura God's voice rang coldly in Tang San's mind. Kill them. Tang San drew his clear sky hammer and attacked. His strength was far greater than those dozen or so ruffians, and he dispatched them within minutes. The strongest among them were only spirit ancestors, but they couldn't withstand Tang San's hammer. One by one, bodies fell, and the tavern floor was stained with blood. Tang San's face had gone from pale to calm as he controlled the battle. He walked to the counter. I want to enter Slaughter City. You couldn't even handle a Bloody Mary, and you want to enter Slaughter City? Someone mocked. Bang! Tang San sent him flying with a single hammer blow. The sudden violence silenced the two nearby waitresses. Then Tang San found his own way into Slaughter City.